evening, namaskar, and welcome. My name is Peter Abraham, and I'm elated to welcome you all to the very first edition of the India Poker Championships Final Table Series powered by SpartanPoker.com. Well, we're going to call in all the action from the final table of the 1 crore guaranteed big game today. But I have a surprise before that. I'm going to run a contest right away, and all you have to do is keep watching and answer which edition of the India Online Poker Championship, or the IOPC, is going to come next. So the question is, which edition of the India Online Poker Championship is coming soon? Make sure you get your answers by using our Twitter handle @IndiaPokerChamp and add the hashtag FTS along with your name and Spartan ID, and you will get a chance to win a ticket for FTS number 13. That event, which is going to take place on the 21st of November at 6 p.m. We will, of course, announce the winner of this particular contest in the course of the stream, so stay tuned for that. So if you've missed the exciting stream of the final table of the 70 lakh guaranteed monster stack event, then let me take you quickly through what happened there. The finalists who got onto that table, we will discuss exactly what happened in the run-up to the winner there. But let me introduce you to our two expert commentators who are going to be joining me. First up, a semi-recreational poker player from India who has played at innumerable prestigious events like the Red Dragon in Macau, the APT in Manila, the Aussie Millions in Melbourne, the Melbourne Cup, and the Indian events like the DPT, the IPC, the PPT, the World Poker Tour India. He's a globetrotter, the founder of one of the most fun poker groups called the Indian Poker Buckchodes. I love the fact that it's as irreverent a group that it is. He's also an MBA from MIT and has the experience of playing under many poker stables within the country. And he's in fact run his own poker stables as well. And who's going to be joining him? Well, none other than two-time WSOP bracelet winner and our international commentator on this stream, Kevin McPhee, coming into us from Canada. Welcome to the live stream, Kevin and Ramesh. Great to have you guys with us. Let's quickly recap what happened in that 70 lakh guaranteed monster stack event from yesterday. We've had a winner in Siddharth Singhvi, aka Peter Punter, who took down the event. And it was a fantastic run by him, considering that he was one of the shorter, if not the shortest stack at that final table for a bunch of the time. So it was a terrific comeback from his end to eventually claim the title. I think RRT will be able to throw a little more light because Siddharth is one of those guys on the circuit who's done a bunch as far as winning titles and deep runs is concerned.
So yeah, I have known Siddharth Singhvi since the past, like let's say 7-8 years right now, and he's a ultimate regular on Spartan Poker. I've seen him clinch a lot of titles, especially on Spartan Poker, apart from other websites. And Siddharth really has a great experience when it comes to final tabling marquee events.
Well, it was a pretty impressive performance coming into that top three, and then eventually, of course, the moment that confused me and the commentators at that time, Sam Razavi and Radhika Shankar, when these players decided to do a deal, we had Siddharth Singhvi at a pretty huge stack. He was probably about 3x of the other two stacks that were on the table with him. And we were wondering why he chose to do that deal, because given how solidly he played and the kind of rich experience, as RRT has mentioned, that Siddharth has in these high-profile marquee events, we were a touch surprised that he decided to go with that deal. A little while later, Siddharth himself messaged us and let us know that he decided to do the deal basis the leaderboard points that were also playing on his mind. So he felt that given the difference in prize money of about 2 lakh odd rupees, that points that you would get as the winner held far more weight in his mind, and therefore he went ahead and did that deal.
I think Siddharth made a very wise choice based on his experience.
He knows just how volatile a final table can be. I mean, you're playing short-handed, the chip stacks get short, anything can really happen. So when you do make a deal, when you're three-handed or four-handed, and you have all the chips, you get better than second place money. Also, the big bonus here is just you get the points, and the points matter, the title matters.
Well, let's take a look again at the payouts that happened in that Monster Stack event, starting with the winner, Siddharth Singhvi, playing as Peter Punter. He took home, after the three-way deal, he took home 11.55 lakh rupees. And he was followed by the other two players in that deal. That's Sai Krishna Pandey, who took second place, and Parth Agarwal with just over 8 lakhs to his name. In fourth place, we had Abhishek Gubba taking home 4.8 lakhs for his efforts. And then we have Rohit Agarwal, who won 3.77 lakh rupees for his finish. And coming to the last three players, Sanket Arora taking sixth place for a sum of 2.94 lakhs. And the last two players finishing up on that final table, Ashish Parekh finishing in seventh place for a sum of 2.21 lakhs. And last but definitely not the least, Vatsal Vati Srivastav, who took home 1.54 lakhs for his eighth place finish at that final table. And now we look ahead to that 1 crore guaranteed big game tournament that's going to be taking off very shortly for that final table, which we will talk about right now. Let's take a look at what's happened in that particular tournament. Well, there was a massive amount of registration for the big game that took place, a 22,000 rupee buy-in tournament for a 1 crore guaranteed prize pool. Lots and lots of good big prizes to play for in that, and the top 8 finalists coming through a field of 452. And let's take a look at who they are. Well, the top 2 players, in fact, are pretty similar in stacks, but just a shade ahead is a very well-known name from the Indian circuit in Kartik Ved, who's playing as the Internet Kid. And Kartik has 2.3 million in chips to his name. Kartik has a bunch of final table finishes and titles. And most recently, he finished second in the GPS main event. Ramesh, I think it's fair to say that this guy is definitely looking like he's going to make a deep run there. Of course, stranger things have happened, but Kartik's got the chops that would take him through.
So a lot of people wouldn't know. Kartik used to coach me at a point of time. Like, he briefly used to coach me. He was my coach at a point of time. My favorite player who could take this down would be Kartik, obviously, and he comes with just not a lot of experience. That's always there, but he comes with a lot of rich experience coming from the coaches that he used to have. He is a thorough professional, and he's a pretty aggressive player. Like, it's very hard to withstand in front of him.
If you look at Kartik Ved, he seems like this very calm, almost shy, timid-looking chap. But when he's at that poker table, and I think Kevin definitely will back me up on this one, he can definitely turn the heat on.
Yeah, I mean, I've just heard about his name from the very beginning of getting involved with Indian poker, as him being heralded as the young phenom, and just everybody has the utmost respect for him. So I'm really excited to see him manage a big stack at a table that has a little bit deeper structure than the other final tables we've seen so far.
But Kartik Ved should not get too comfortable, because right at his heels is, in fact, a very familiar name in Strange Play, aka Sagar Chaudhary. Kevin has seen Sagar play already in a previous tournament, which he has commentated on. Sagar, playing as Strange Play, has done well for himself. In fact, not just in the FTS series, but he's also done well for himself in general, winning a bunch of titles at Spartan Poker, including a runner-up finish at the Millionaire event not too long ago. He too would be coming in with some kind of momentum behind him, considering he's already made the final tables in this FTS, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected that we'd see some of the best and brightest at this final table, and it's not just a coincidence that we're seeing the same name coming up twice here.
So Strange Play has evolved through the years. I've seen him, start poker as a career for him. He comes from a banking industry, and as his moniker suggests, he has got a really, really strange play. So if Kartik understands the game, Strange Play can just surprise him with anything and everything. So two huge stacks coming from two different kind of backgrounds and different kind of a gameplay. It's going to be fireworks out there.
And again, giving company in the top 3 chip stacks with over 2 million in chips is Dhirendra Kumar playing as Thiru91. He's got 2.2 million in chips, and this guy is no slouch either. He won the Godfather in September, and he's taken the 5th place position in the Spartan Millionaire, as well as the 4th place position in the AOPS Millie back in August. So a lot of experience for this young 29-year-old from New Delhi. I think RRT, you might be aware of, Dhirendra's background.
I've seen him play. I've played along with him online, and the way I look at Dhirendra Kumar coming into this FT is the guy has got a lot of metal to prove in front of the kind of setup that we have on the final table. So we could expect a strong fight, and this could just be one of those incidents where an underdog would come out there and try to express himself.
Following Dhirendra in the counts is Ashwin Bergia, if I'm saying that name correctly, who's playing as A116. Ashwin has 1.6 million in chips, where he's played a number of online events. His biggest cash, he says, is a little over 2 lakh rupees. This is definitely going to be in probably one of his top scores, and he'll be hoping to run all the way to the end. Now, the interesting thing with Ashwin is that he scored a ticket from a satellite into this event.
Coming from a background where I pretty much satellited into almost every single tournament, it's super nice when you just get in for cheap. You know, you one bullet it and you just get a chance for the massive spin up. So that should be pretty cool to watch, and obviously a big sweat for them.
I'm just going to go into the next player who's in the chip counts, which is Ishan Kapoor playing as E Kapoor. That's 894,000 in chips. Now, Ishan has a pretty solid run of tournament tables that he's done. Twice 3rd position on the Godfather, the 3rd position at the WPT Thursday feature, twice runner-up in the Mega Stack, the Tuesday AOPS, final table on the Elite, 1 table on the Destiny. I mean, it just goes on and on. Obviously, this guy is no slouch when it comes to playing online. Have you interacted a lot with Ishan, RRT?
The name comes out very often when it comes to, final tabling a lot of events, as you rightly said.
Right.
Ishan, to me, on a personal note, is a novice. Mm-hmm. But however, looking at the resume, we just can expect some surprises out there coming from Ishan.
They are also dark horses. They are also the surprise element on any final table, because I don't think the rest of the players have as much information as they'd like on, let's say, a Kartik Ved who's like really well known on the circuit.
We got a couple other pretty short stacks there. So really the plan of attack should be just to be patient and look for reshove spots on the chip leader.
And speaking of the latter half of the table, we've got Mohit Goyal playing as Ro Bet with a stack of 7.75 lakhs. And in fact, Mohit has won a title back in July where he took down an IOPC event. And he has said that the lockdown has made him into a poker player. I think that holds true for a lot of players who've been stuck, not being able to grind in their life situation and playing a lot more poker online than usual. I mean, Kevin, you would probably testify to something like this, given your participation in the recent WSOP online.
Yeah, I mean, I was a full-on on the circuit at the beginning of this year. So when lockdown happened, it was just back to the online grind for me. So I can certainly relate to that. I think all of us can. It's just what better way to spend your lockdown than playing some online poker in the comfort of your home.
Coming to another familiar name now on this final table, although he's a little short stack than he'd like to be, is Srihari Bang with the ID Bang Bang 99. I love that name. Srihari, of course, and I believe his brother Pranav Bang are 2 of the guys on the circuit, and there's a running joke about the Bang brothers on the Indian poker circuit. Both brothers terrific young poker players themselves, and Srihari Bang has in fact been crowned the Spartan IOPC millionaire back in the day for one of the biggest prize payouts in the history of the website. 48 lakhs is, I believe, what that first place prize was.
So I know Srihari Bang personally, and the guy is so young. If you look at him, he doesn't even have a mustache properly, yeah. But then, like, the kind of experience that Srihari comes in with, his elder brother Pranav has guided him a lot in his journey in poker. He's pretty aggressive that way. He knows his game. He has studied a lot in his young age, and he's taken poker as a full-time profession.
What you're
Yeah.
basically saying is there are no deals happening as long as Shriyari Bang is on the table.
No way.
Fair
No
enough.
way. So it's going to be bang, bang.
There we go. It had to happen, folks. And we're really hoping that Shriyari Bang continues to play on this table as long as possible, because there's just like an armory of jokes that we can fire out there. So good luck to you, sir. We will certainly be hoping that you make a nice deep run there. And of course, rounding off the 8th position on this final table at the big game is Siddharth Khanna playing as Sid 297. Siddharth is like a really, really short stack at 385,000 in chips. But he's also a former IOPC Monster Stack title winner. He has that final table experience. He has a title win experience. Again, another young player. He's barely 24 years old from Patna. What impresses me a lot about the younger folks playing online poker is it's not like what I used to see about 10 years ago when we first got into this industry. At that point in time, poker was, at least in the Indian context, the younger players were all about the glory, the fame, and everything. But now it's so much more that goes into it. They are studying hard. There's a constant analysis happening. They've taken professional coaching from some of the top guys in the world. I mean, I think, Kevin, you might know coaches who charge in the tens of thousands of dollars probably, for their coaching services. What is your take on this? Well, at least it's a relatively new trend for Indian players, but I think it's a global phenomenon as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody on this final table is under the age of 30, so that just speaks to the youth. And it is so much easier to get very proficient at poker these days than say when I first came up. We didn't have all the resources that these guys have now. And then you have payouts, and you have training sites, and you have private coaching, and you have study groups with people.
So yeah, when we all started a decade back, Peter, when we were coming to particularly Goa or places, other places where we came to play, it was essentially you guys, you oldies used to sit on the tables and like crush us.
Thanks, buddy.
So we never had the luxury of social media, or we never used to have the kind of a YouTube or let's say Run It Once videos or anything on those lines. It was essentially mostly like a community or a group of bunch of people discussing hands and just understanding, what would be an essential right way to play a particular sport. But I feel that today's young guys on the block, it's a pretty blessed spot to be in, where they have a lot of information free, as you rightly said, a lot of information which is easily available for them or easily accessible to them, and then they have access to a lot of really good people that they can talk to, have a discussion without having any financial deals or something on those lines.
The poker community in general, not just in India, but in general across the world, whatever I've seen in my travels, and of course being a part of the Indian circuit, the inclusiveness that's there in terms of players wanting to share information. I've seen some very, very intense discussions happen in the course of live tournaments, and of course players discussing their online poker playing as well. It's wonderful to see that, and I think the game is only going to grow bigger and better as we go along. So on that sentimental note, shall I say, that was basically a roundup of all the finalists at this big game, which has a 1 crore guaranteed prize pool. Let's take a look at the prize money that's involved. Hefty 19.49 lakhs up top for the winner in this particular tournament, followed by 12.38 lakhs for the second place finisher. And lastly, for the third place finisher, there's 9.28 lakhs. Not lastly, there are more payouts than that, of course. Besides that almost 20 lakh rupee up top first place prize, there's also an 18 karat gold medallion that's going the way of the winner, the certificate to that winner as well, and of course, a special gift hamper, which will be given to them. So let's not delay things any further and get started with this 1 crore guaranteed big game tournament. The final table lists are all set, and let's get down to see this FTS event brought to you by the India Poker Championship.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, we're off to the races with the action at this final table, beginning just a few seconds back. Right at this moment, we've got Shriyari Bang playing as Bang Bang 99, who's on the deal button. And just to go back to the contest question we asked you earlier, which is the upcoming edition of the IOPC? Make sure that you get that answer. Make sure that you stick tuned to the ticker below to know who the winner is. We will be bringing you that shortly. At this point in time, we would like to announce another contest question because we love giving free tickets away. So who do you think will be the final two players in heads up in this particular final table of this 1 crore guaranteed big game? We've had our picks over the course of the discussion earlier on, but who do you think will be the final two in heads up in this final table? Make sure you get your answers out there on the Twitter handle @IndiaPokerChamp with the hashtag FTS, your Spartan ID, and we will make sure that the winners are then displayed on the screen, and we'll make that announcement really soon. So who are your picks for the two players who will end up in heads up for this final table? That's the contest question. The winner, of course, will receive a ticket into FTS number 15, which takes place tomorrow at 10 p.m. So stay tuned for the answers. Stay tuned for the winners, in fact. And I will leave you now in the capable hands of our commentators, Kevin McPhee and Ramesh Todabali.
Yeah, the first hand we see here is A116 opening from the hijack with King Jack offsuit, and row 3-bet defending from the big blind with Queen Jack suited. Obviously, pretty fine hand to defend, super sexy. We see a continuation bet from A116, and a pretty standard call here from row 3-bet. And the King Jack's just going to check back the turn, take the free equity for the gut shot, and the Queen Jack is able to show down for a winner.
We have a pretty interesting hand with Sagar Pupil. Unless we see Sid or Roxy Bet doing something, a pretty straightforward hand.
It's the king of diamonds. I mean, Kevin's jumping up and down right there. You can't see him move, folks, but he is jumping up and down that card.
Sagar would be so sad.
Yeah,
Sagar would be so sad getting a walk.
That's pretty sick. You'd expect at least a limp from the 6-9 suited there. I think you'd, with just a half a big blind to complete, you pretty much obligated to call there with any suited hand.
We might just see an open king 10 suited from the button.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a defend from the 6-7 of clubs here as well. Wow. Open folding king 10 suited.
Welcome to India, Kevin. Welcome to India.
Wow.
Well, we discussed this earlier. Sagar Chaudhary is certainly known for his strange play and an apt username at that. And he's just proved why he's chosen that nickname.
Did we see a walk from the ace high as well?
No, so ace high, small blind opened a bit, min click, and the button folded.
Okay. Yeah, certainly some tight play there. I guess you can never be too careful. That's pretty wild. I don't know what you're waiting for if you're not opening king 10 suited on the button there. But we're going to see, I guess, some pretty tight play. I mean, people don't want to get involved when there's a 7 big blind stack, so... But certainly strange. The paranoia of getting exploited is real.
We would definitely see Kartik being aggressive with ace-3 suited out here right now from the small blind. I'm not expecting anyone else to do anything else. It would be a standard raise and Kartik getting a walk.
In case you're just joining us, the internet kid, Kartik Ved, was the chip leader when this final table started, and Sid 297 was the shortest stack on the table. Those two chip stacks haven't really changed, well, marginally in favor of Strange Play, who just pulled off a little bit.
That's a flop 2 pair.
Yeah, and Kartik, the internet kid, elected to just call with the ace-3 pre-flop, and I think suited aces are pretty decent hands to include in your limping range. It kind of protects you from getting exploited too much, and gives you an interesting when you flop an ace. Yeah, and the king 9 just calls the flop with 2 pair, and ace-3 of clubs picks up the flush draw. So it'll be interesting to see how he approaches this. Of course, this is a limp pot, so he's completely just playing against a random range of hands here. So I could expect a continue here, although can't really see much of a point in check calling.
Check calling, yeah. But Kartik decides to be a bit aggressive with the way he plays.
Yeah, and he overbets the pot, and he's going to run into it here. I guess the big question is, does the King-9 jam or just call? But I think with this wet of a board, you probably see a raise here.
Just a reminder, folks, that's Ashwin Verghia playing as A116. He's the guy who's basically almost free rolling this tournament.
Oh, Kartik claws, reverse the nuts. And I don't think it's a fold from the big blind at any chance, it isn't folding this.
Oh boy.
It will be very interesting to see what line Kartik takes, the bet size that he would want to get that sneaky call from the big blind.
Yeah, I mean, really any sizing here. Can't go wrong with the nuts. But you do want to get called, and when the opponent's faced an overbet and still called, you have to assume that they're pretty strong. So we're likely to see a big bet here, and in fact we do, betting about 85% of the pot here. And I just don't see King-9 getting away from this at all.
We can even expect an all-in from King-9.
Well, I don't think an all-in is merited, but
he's hardly left with a stack, Kevin, I think.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's
wow.
insane.
Wow, crazy fold.
And that reason is why this guy has come into this tournament final table on just a satellite ticket. That's probably the way he's running at the moment. That's insane.
Yeah,
anything and everything can happen here.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why
I wouldn't have possibly folded it. I would have just thrown my stack right on the face of Kartik.
And probably the stack's next to you as well.
And we're going to see Sid move in here with the ace-3 suited, about 6.5 big blinds. Certainly seems pretty standard. I doubt anybody's going to look him up here. So we're going to.
If anyone is capable of calling this, it's just Kartik.
Yeah.
I mean, the King-9, I think you got a shove turn there. I mean, you're playing against a very tough opponent who's overbetting the pot on a very wet board, and you got two pair. It's a limped pot. He can have a lot of things there, a lot of draws.
There are two flush draws coming there. There are straight draws, back doors.
Yeah, I think you just want to deny equity and take down the pot. Those chips are worth so much, and you're just going to be ahead of your opponent so often. I mean, I think you can just live with running into Queen 10 or, sets or better two pairs there. I mean, I'd be happy just living with that and just try to win the pot to protect yourself from all those draws. And we do see Kartik keeping up the aggression here with the Queen 7 suited from the cutoff, which I think is a
pretty standard
open.
Yeah. I like the bet sizing there, squeezy, small. It's just one big blind.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard for a 10 big blind stack to continue when, it doesn't really matter what your size is. Like, a bet is a bet, so you may as well just give yourself a great bluffing price in Kartik's shoes. So, but yeah, I really like the sizing there. And
I just saw UPG fold ace-X suited.
Right. And just
so what would you do there, Kevin, with effectively less than 15 big blinds? UTG, you have ace-8 suited, ace-8 of hearts on NFT. Do you think it's a standard fold?
Yeah, probably. I think I probably would fold that just because there's so many other short stacks here. I mean, you have Sid with 10 big blinds, Bang Bang with less than 10 big blinds. So, and you're just worried about getting flatted. And when you get flatted, you just can't realize your equity very well because you're handcuffed by the ICM considerations. So, really want to tighten up your ranges from early position when you can't realize your equity post flop. It's completely different, And Kartik opening the King Jack from the low jack here is going to get a defend out of the big blind from row 3 bet with the 8-9 off. The 8-9 off has off the double gut shot.
Bang Bang had just folded pocket threes from the button with less than 10 big blinds.
Yeah, I think I would be in there with any pair. But it just goes to show these people want to make, these players want to make pay jumps. And here we see a check min raise from row 3 bet. It's going to be an easy call for the open ender of Kartik.
But Bang is not the kind of player who would look at a pay jump as one of his points when it's taking a decision. I'm not sure why he folded that. It's pretty questionable. Maybe I would want to discuss that with him offline.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really have ICM considerations on you, so...
And Kartik, again, he flops. He rivers a nut.
Yeah, he's running pretty well. It's pretty dangerous when the best player at the table is playing well and running well.
I don't think he's getting a call ever.
The row 3 bet's just going to have to give up. But in Bang Bang shoes, they're folding the 3s on the button. I mean, really, you should be shoving at least 30% of hands, at least 25% of hands. You know, maybe I think the standard would be like to be shoving about a third of your range there on the button with 9 big blinds. So folding 3s seems like a mistake. I mean, you have a pair and both blinds that you're up against. But yeah, very interesting line from the 8-9 there, post flop too. Just check min raising with the double gut shot. I think given the price that you're being laid with a min bet on the flop, it's a pretty easy peel. Really disguised hand, and not only that, like when you hit the jack on the king queen 10 board, like Kartik's going to continue with a bunch of bluffs because he can rep ace king. You never have ace king, so if you do hit that double gut shot where the ace king makes the nuts, you're probably going to get some bluffs a lot of the time out of the chip leader there.
Yeah. So we could see something interesting that's going to happen between the small blind and the big blind in this hand. Pretty interesting hand, ace unsuited and queen unsuited. And the kind of play that Strange Play plays is obviously going to fold the king 10.
Well, I think the queen 9 suited there is actually a relatively interesting spot. That kind of exemplifies what ICM does to your shoving ranges, because normally I think the charts would say queen 9 suited with 9 big blinds.
Wow.
Hijack, you can go with it.
So Saga surprises me again. So he tries to open on the button.
Right. And
we
then
get a flat with small blind. And then we have Kartik.
Stack. Right. I think if I was Ekenpoor there, that's a pretty standard reshove, dominating your opponent's button opening range and plenty in the middle to take down. I think that's a pretty standard reshove. But the way it's played, we're just going to see the king high flop, Strange Bet take the C-bet, auto C-bet spot with his top pair and get snap folds from both of the blinds.
Sid has a monster, and none of them have hands which he can get paid with. Unless, the big blind decides to call off light.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see snap folds here.
Yeah.
But, every little pot that these short stacks get, it just puts a little more distance between them and the other stacks and takes the pressure off of them and really puts the pressure back on the shortest stack to get in there and try to get some chips. And, they're just hoping that the short stacks bust. So strange play here with the ace-queen suited. We're certainly going to see a raise. 50 big blinds.
We definitely would see something interesting from Kartik.
Yeah, I mean, I think folding ace-7 to a hijack raise is probably pretty standard, but I would assume he'd be tempted with the blocker. Yeah, and we just see the snap fold. I mean, ace-7 just flops so poorly, and I think maybe given Strange Play's reputation, he might just want to play tighter and just kind of catch punts from him rather than trying to go after him with weaker holdings.
I'm just wondering if these guys are playing because playing the way they are playing right now is because we are commentating. Because this is not how I would see them playing otherwise. Again, a pretty interesting hand with Kartik and not so interesting hands with anyone else.
Yeah, going to be a pretty standard open with the Queen Jack suited. Very, very
You
nice
might
post.
just see something from Bang. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know the line you would want to take there with King 10.
Yeah, I mean, he's got five big
standard.
blinds, no fold equity, so you're just kind of closing your eyes and praying if you're reshoving King 10 there because you're not going to get any folds. So I think that's a pretty reasonable fold by Bang Bang. And here we have a couple of nice hands. Ace 9 and the hijack could definitely worthy of a raise, but we see a snap fold. Really, again, just showing that the medium stacks do not want to get in there while there's so many short stacks, and I think that's probably a pretty solid strategy because you're looking at Bang Bang with about 5 big blinds now that the blinds have gone up to 60,000. Sid at about 7 big blinds, so I think a lot of the players are really just wanting to wait for the page up.
Between hijack and small blind right now. So
we see the reshove with King Jack off and the snap call from the King Queen of Hearts. And good game, Sid.
We have elimination.
Yep, first bust out.
First bust out of the FT.
Yeah, I think that King Jack's probably pretty reasonable. You got to assume the big stack is opening pretty wide there. I think, like, what's the difference between 8th and 7th? You probably just want to get in there and gamble, thinking you could be ahead of the opponent's range at some time. So a strange play defense here with Jack 4 of Hearts, flops the flush draw. And I think these sort of like 9-8 suited boards aren't like great c-betting boards. Like the big blind has way more like 9x, 8x. And when you have just like the ace high at the backdoor flush draw, I think you're happy just checking back, hoping you pick up some equity and trying to show your hand down. So I think that's a pretty reasonable check back there from the ace 4 spades.
Now I think we are seeing him a bit more restless. UTG +1. Tries to open Queen 10 offsuit.
Gets it through. I mean, people have been folding quite quickly at this table, and we've seen a couple of walks. So, and Kartik's be opening so many pots that really A116 needs to be opening a little bit wider than normal. I think that's kind of just an exploit due to the way this final table is playing.
I understand it's tough from Bang right now. I don't know if he still wants to. And the snap call from Kartik.
Yeah, I mean, Kartik's going to look him up here. 5 big blind shove in the big blind with 2 Broadway cards. Getting great odds. It's, 2.4 more to call. So getting a little over 2 to 1.
Oh.
Has the best hand, flops trips, but the 8-9 suited makes the flush. So nice one out there. Bang, bang. Definitely somebody I want to see get some chips. I want to see him.
You remember my prediction? It was top 3 would be Bang, InternetKid, and maybe Strange Play.
Yep. And that's a pretty bold prediction because Bang Bang came in pretty short stack to this final table. So
yeah,
your prediction could have gone very wrong there if the diamond hadn't peeled off.
Yeah, I just love diamonds.
Me too. Me too. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, right?
It could be a pretty standard shove, yeah.
Yeah, a super standard shove with the ace queen suited. Again, everybody just snap folding.
Do you think there is a change in the way the amount of time is consumed, Kevin, when it comes to folding to a certain raise or shoves on this kind of an FT? Like, would you see something more different on international fields, online, especially online?
I mean, I like just taking my time. I like taking 5 seconds or so every decision just to kind of slow the pace up a bit. And then when I do have...
Even though you have made up your mind, you want to just consume that much of time.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I always consume time, but, if you do have a marginal spot, you don't want to be... You want to have, like, when you do want to take your time, you want to have taken your time in the past, so it's a little bit balanced in your behaviors. And here, Kartik is opening the Pio silver bullet hand, King 5 suited. getting snap folds again. And I think Kartik is just going to be looking for a lot of spots to min raise and bet really small and just be active, but in a way that's very controlled. And I think that's going to be his strategy for this final table. Just play open a lot of hands. People are playing pretty tight, and continue with down bets a lot of the time. And here we see a flat.
Pretty interesting. Hijack opens ace-9 button. Small blind flats. The kind of time the small blind would take on that particular flop. Essentially, I think there's a lot of decision to be made by 091. And yeah, we had a phone call from one of Dhiru's friends, wishing him all the best all the way from Calcutta. Both of them have nothing.
Yeah, interesting to see. And
It's a check back from Dhiru. I wouldn't expect him to do anything else. Yeah. This looks more like a prediction that I know what these guys are going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm certainly intrigued by just calling with the king-queen pre-flop. I mean, when you're that short and you're facing a pretty wide range from the chip leader, I think that's a fine spot to just stick it in, like we saw with the king-jack earlier.
So I don't think there was any reason for him to float.
Yeah, floating out of position when you're that short. I mean, that's the issue, is you just end up in tough post-flop situations. And, I mean, really, when you're that short, it's just a reshove or fold. And again, we're seeing Kartik with the down bet again with the king-queen. And I think that he's quite happy just pumping this math equation. Min raise, down bet. If he gets resistance, check back, realizes equity. We're just going to be seeing a lot of that. And he does go with the
overbet.
Very nice. Just shoves it in.
Smooth. That's my coach for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, he has a huge range advantage there, and there's a lot of stuff. You lure people in with you lure your opponent in with the small bet on the flop, and then knowing you have a range advantage, you can just blast them off with bluffs, and then they're sitting there guessing if you have actually a value hand or not.
So a lot of people don't know this. When I first joined Euphoria, the stable, Kartik was part of it. I had sent my hands to be reviewed by Kartik so I could join the stable. So my first interaction was with Kartik, where he had reviewed my hands and then he got me on board. So we go a way long back.
Well, that's a good guy to get attached to. He's obviously
an
elite there. And we're going to see 6 big blind shove here with the ace king off. Exactly what row 3 bet has been waiting for. And I think we're going to see snap folds from the rest of the table here.
Give him a call. Yeah.
But we're really seeing all the middle stacks getting chewed up here. So now we're seeing a lot of disparity between the chip stacks with a 30 million, a 28 million, 29 million stack, and then pretty much everybody else lingering around or below the 10 big blind range. And bang, bang. Wow.
It's a reshove from Kartik, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure, yeah. He could he's capable of doing that. The way, the aggression that he comes along with. Kartik on the button is pretty much capable of not flatting this and maybe bet and fall for an all-in.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot with the 8s. You would expect the under the gun raise to just be shoving.
Ooh. So we have bang in the contention unless the turn or the river helps Kartik in any way. So if I was in Kartik's spot at that button, maybe I would have just re-raised and brought in bang.
Yeah, but there's some red alarms going off when somebody who's sub 10 big blinds is just min-raising under the gun, right? Like, you got to think, I mean, traditionally, I would think that they're pretty nutted. Of course, that isn't the case.
Maybe that's one of the reasons, Kevin, that I'm commentating and not really playing there.
And here we're going to see a flip, strange play, opening the 7s, Ikapor reshoving the ace queen suited and making Broadway. So nice double up for the short stack there.
Kartik with a monster again.
Yep, ace king suited in the hijack, super premium. And I think we're probably just going to see some snap folds here. I don't even think row 3-bet will be defending the ace 4. Certainly has odds to. But considering how tight we saw him playing before, wouldn't be surprised.
Oh,
He does peel and
I think we'll have an elimination in this hand unless row 3-bet tries to believe that Kartik does have a premium.
Yeah, and again, we see Kartik opening for min raise, min betting the flop.
Yep, snap it.
Get the check raise. And
there we go.
Showers. Things are going pretty quickly here.
Kartik smoothly done with.
Wow,
So the
Ikapur.
7th place has got 3,32,000 rupees for his play. Now, we are down to 6 players. And the 6th spot gets 4,52,000. Let's see who the 6th one is.
Yeah, and now we're seeing like Kartik just getting way out of line with the ace 3, and this is just clearly a product of his chip position and his read on the table being everybody's playing super tight and looking for pay jumps. Normally ace 3 off from the low jack is just not even going to be a hand that you consider, but at the final table with the ICM considerations, seems like a pretty good open. Plus you have the blocker, and A116 goes with the 3-bet and gets a snap fold from Kartik. So maybe recognizing how aggressive he's been playing and taking the re-raise spot and winning a nice little pot there.
I've also known Kartik to be a really good 6-max player, like the kind of tourneys that he chooses, although he plays a full ring, but I've seen him play it a bit more differently, which obviously anyone should. A 6-max game. So, your entire dynamics of the table changes. So we have got the 6-max table, it's an FT, we have got ICM coming into the picture, and we have got a bunch of experience on the table.
Yeah, and that's really the hallmark of a great player, is being able to adapt to short-handed situations, to go from ranges of full ring games into 6-handed, 5-handed, 4-handed. The more experienced players are going to be able to exploit the weaknesses of their opponents a lot more in those situations. So I would expect to see a lot of fun hands from him here. A116.
I haven't seen Strange play a single hand in the past 10, 15 hands maybe.
Yeah, well, he's
like this sneaky little guy who's just waiting, let everyone eliminate. I'm just going to get 100k extra.
It's not a bad strategy.
Here I am again.
Hey, Peter, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm like the poker Santa Claus in these parts, just coming out there, throwing a few free tickets, and then getting out, making sure that people get a chance to be a part of this FTS one way or the other. So we've got another contest question, and it's a pretty simple one. If you've been playing online poker for a fair while, you should know this. In which year was the first ever online poker game held? I'm just going to repeat that question once we go through this hand, because my favorite player named Bang Bang is in it.
We could see Dhirendra batting, yeah. And it's a GG flop for Bang.
Yeah, I find it interesting that he's not just open shoving these hands. He's elected to just raise what would normally be an open shoving stack a couple of times.
It takes a lot of patience, because if you open up the Nash shove chart, it would be a standard, pre-all-in. But Bang decides to be more patient with his stack. And I think he would be folding if Dhirendra tries to bet on the river. It requires a lot of patience, even after getting pocket pairs. We have seen him fold pocket threes before from the button. We have seen him just, min-click pocket sevens with almost less than 10 bigs. Wow. Super nit. Bang Bang isn't banging anymore. It's super nit.
That's right. Bang Bang 99. He's here for the long haul, we hope. And I'm going to repeat the contest question once again. In which year was the first ever online poker game held? Get your answers out there on Twitter using the handle at India Poker Champ and the hashtag FTS. Make sure you get your answers in along with your Spartan ID, and make sure that you do this right away, and you'll see if you have won a ticket on the ticker below in a short while. The winner gets a ticket into FTS number 13, which happens tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. So get your answers in there, and let's have some fun in this FTS series. Gentlemen, any changes from your thoughts earlier about where you see this final table headed in terms of, I know both of you have thought that Kartik Ved is definitely one of those contenders to be at the top. Despite having a very, very short stack, Shriyari Bang is also within that. But I think one of you, I think maybe Ramesh, you had mentioned that Strange Play has been very, very quiet for a fair while now.
Yeah, I think he's just hit the snooze button, and maybe he's lying on his bed, and maybe he would wake up after like say 30 minutes or so and say, yeah, let me just play whatever is left with.
All right, someone get a cup of coffee to Strange Play. Sagar, come on, wake up, buddy. We need some action happening on this felt here.
So
Yeah, I
Sagar
mean,
is
this
this
is
kind of a guy who doesn't get bogged down or bothered with anyone saying anything about his play. He's like, I don't care.
Excellent.
I mean, this is going as how I expected it. I mean, Kartik just min-raising a lot of hands, down betting, just playing very controlled big stat poker. It's exactly what I expected coming into this final table.
I really love that ski bet coming in from Kartik, actually, Kevin. You know, a really small one wherein you're not losing any percent, you know, not even non-significant percentage of your stack, but at least, you know, you're gauging with your opponent because they couldn't just float or call off with mere hands. So I really love this. Maybe, you know, I'm just going to use this strategy. Even all the viewers who are watching the stream. So when people keep looking at articles, you know, or Facebook, or they see a professional making so much of money, you know, over the due course of years, this is where, you know, we can actually see, learn. All the amateurs, all the recreationals could see, you know, what's so different about the professionals, you know, players like Kartik. What do they do it so differently? This is where they could see and learn a lot from, you know, such kind of streams.
Well,
Yeah, I think a lot of that strategy comes from ICM considerations. I mean, sort of the downside to doing the one big blind bet on the flop is that you can induce bluffs, you can induce out of position floats with hands that have equity that normally you could fold out. But with the ICM considerations, they just simply can't do things like float out of position or check raise as a bluff. So he's really just exploiting the ICM considerations and putting maximum pressure on his opponents. And the nice thing is when they call the one big blind bet, you can still just continue to bluff them on the turns, and you can sort of dance circles around them in that respect. So finally we're seeing strange play opening with the king 8. So
And the wrong time to open something.
Yeah, he's going to run into it here.
I think the snooze button is up.
I think somebody finally had their coffee.
It's a standard fold for him. He wouldn't do anything with king 8 right now. That is pretty much Saga for you.
Yeah, and interesting, the queens doesn't elect to shove there. They just go X3 bet. So I think that's pretty standard.
We have really interesting hands, you know, by every player right now. Tens, kings for Ekta Kapoor. Kartik has a monster. Pocket twos for Button. Even the big blind has a workable hand with respect to his stack size. Wow, I think we might see a couple of eliminations, just not one in this particular hand.
Yeah, very interesting stuff for the suited.
With the kind of chip style, the stack size that he has, he's capable of it. Yeah, pretty standard. That's what is expected of him. Strange Play is capable of folding this. Is what I have known out of him. So he wouldn't risk his entire stack with pocket tens.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Kevin, your thoughts on that on pocket tens? Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Run like Kartik. Run like Kartik.
That's insane.
That was so if the tens had been in there, it would have been set over set versus Broadway. What a sick hand there.
So your thoughts, Kevin, on you know, Saga's Strange Play folding tens there? I think what would you have done there?
I mean, I can certainly understand folding tens there. Yeah, I probably, man, that's a really close spot. Honestly, I don't think I'm folding jacks, and I'm probably folding nines. So I think tens is about as close as it comes.
So
Certainly can't
yeah,
blame him for just trying to take the pay jump. And again, we see Kartik with another premium hand here, the ace king suited. And I just don't see how you're going to fold queen 10 suited even against the chip leader. So I would
he might just
expect a
flat
call
and
here.
maybe want to go to the flop. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfectly fine flat. I mean, the flop's super well queen 10 suited. So if you limp, I think it's with the intention of calling a raise, but you never know. I mean, we've seen some strange plays at this final table, pun intended. And again, Kartik just going with the 2 big blind bet, down betting
I
the
think
flop.
Kartik is on a rampage.
Yeah, it's just this is what I was expecting, was just seeing Kartik navigate the big stack at an expert
I think he
level.
almost has like 50% of chips in play, if I'm not wrong. 36, 46. Yeah, maybe like 40% chips in play.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely dominating this final table. Quite a performance so far from the internet kid. I think we're going to see more pressure here. Bang Bang riding, what, like 4 big blinds, A116 on like 12 big blinds. And I don't see much incentive for these other guys to be getting involved. Now Kartik can really open up his range.
Kartik is then calling.
Yeah,
It's pretty interesting to see the kind of snooze buttons that Dhirendra and Strange Players have hit, in the past 15-20 minutes. Like
Yeah,
nothing
you're
creative,
gonna
nothing,
really-
no risk, nothing creative, not trying anything which is out of the line.
Yeah, I mean, Kartik's just going to keep min raising, and he's going to min raise with a range of hand that's way wider than what we would normally see. Of course, we're going to see a raise here with the ace 5 suited. Bang Bang's got to go with the ace 5, so we're going to see an all-in confrontation here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm hoping that he doubles up.
Of course, we want Bang Bang back in the game. I have been railing for Bang personally. And yeah,
RLT's
yeah.
prediction is full on the line at this point in time.
Well, Bang Bang doesn't have enough to actually make a raise, so...
Ooh, how did Strange Play get into this hand?
Well, Bang Bang couldn't make a full raise, so when it got back to Kartik, he couldn't re-raise to isolate, so the queen 10 can peel easily there and realize their equity, and in fact bust the ace jack, flopping them, and them drawing dead on
I'm
the turn.
disappointed, but I'm happy for Sagar.
Well, there you go. Bang Bang 99. Sri Hari Bang, who's out our latest elimination, and he will take
He
over.
has approximately like 600k. He has cashed out 600k for his 5th place finish.
Yeah, it'll soothe this thing a little bit, I think.
We have the 5-7 offsuit raising from the cutoff into the big stacks big blind.
A wrong spot.
Yeah, that is.
I just told you, nothing. No one has done anything creative so far. I think they have heard me and tried doing something creative, but yeah, bad spot.
Wow. But I think that was a pretty good job by Bang Bang laddering. I mean, he came in 7th position and ended up with 5th place money. So I think that his conservative approach allowed him to pay jump a little more spots. Maybe doesn't give him all the chance to win the tournament, but he did secure himself a few pay jumps that he might have missed otherwise.
You have another interesting. You have a gutty and an open-ender hands. Would be just interesting to see. None of them hit anything. But
Yeah,
I think it would be a check, unless A116 does something extraordinary.
I feel almost obligated to bluff with the Jack 9 here, just knowing if you check, there's no way you're going to win the pot.
Wow.
That's a big, big bet.
He just overbet jammed his entire stack with absolute nothing. But yeah, he was good anyways.
I love it.
Accident value
He's
bet.
keeping true to his name, Strange Play. Is
And it was not necessary, just a pair would have, I don't know why he did that. Even a small bet would have done sufficed. I don't know why he tried overbet, shoving his entire stack into a considerably higher stack on the table. So yeah, I think Kevin, your thoughts on the same? Like I just want to understand. Maybe a small bet would have sufficed. There was no point, in overbet shoving.
Yeah, yeah, it's maximum pressure, that's for sure. I
Like
just
it's
think,
like if you are in live, it's like just picking up your entire stack and just throwing it on his face. Like yeah, call me if you can.
yeah, I mean, once he checks the river, it seems like he doesn't have a 10 or an 8. He'd probably at least do a blocker bet with a 10 and go for value with an 8. So maybe just worried that he had some king high flush draws that missed or ace high flush draws that just couldn't withstand the pressure. He decided to just put maximum. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you're kind of indifferent with the sizing there, but I wouldn't want to check back queen high for showdown value, just being paranoid that the opponent could have some random things that beat me. So, but I think you're right. A bet's a bet. Doesn't really matter if you're shoving or betting small. So maybe a smaller bet there would be making a little more sense.
Do we again see overbet jam? No, he decides to check back. Sagar Nit Chaudhary. I think he should change his moniker to Nit.
Very, very strange. Yes, Sagar, we're fully backing your nickname.
I remember Sagar and me, we played a couple of live events together, and he used to just limp kings from the big blind and just sneak till the river. You wouldn't put him on kings, and then he would just sneakily just like open his cards up and say, "Yeah, I just got kings," and I'm like, "I have the nuts" or something like that. He has done that to me multiple times, just not once, by the way.
So clearly, Sagar, RRT is rooting hard for you at this moment in time. For all of those hands
Yeah,
sneakily
I
open.
wouldn't mind Kartik and Sagar chopping this.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see for when that happens, whenever it happens. In the meantime, we've got a couple of winners for that contest question where we asked you in which year was the first ever online poker game held. And if you're like me and Kevin, we are all growing up through the 90s. It was 1998 when that first online poker game was held. And congratulations to our winners who won a ticket into FTS number 13, which happens tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. And our winners are Spartan 222 and underscore rated. So Spartan 222 and underrated, congratulations to you. You both have won tickets into the FTS number 13 tomorrow evening. And back to the action here.
We have our heads-up contenders, Kartik and Sagar, 4-6 suited, press to limb, small blind.
Yeah,
Kartik.
I'm really interested to see how Kartik adapts to his exploitive style to this sort of limping strategy. Usually these sort of connecting straight cards make really good check back hands. And in fact, he does
Also
check
have
back.
the middle pair. Yeah.
Middle pair, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, certainly enough to put a min bet in. We're going to see a call from the 6-4, who's also flop middle pair, pretty standard. I would expect Kartik to continue here with the 6. Very unlikely his opponent has a 9, so you got to think.
But then limp from strangely, if you remember, I just told you, like we had like played live together, and he's capable of limping kings there in that spot, or any premiums. He wouldn't even open such hands. That's what I've seen Saga do previously. So the river card gives him a big benefit. It would be very interesting to see what Saga or what Kartik would do.
Interesting leading the middle pair here.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Kartik does find. I mean, there's so many
That's
misdraws.
experience, folks. That's experience taking that call.
Yep. Every time you hear that why is poker referred to as a skill game, that's an example right there.
But I really loved the river bet from Sagar after there was a king on the river. It was very comfortable and convenient for Sagar to be betting at that particular board. But Kartik, I don't think he believed.
Do you think he's ever getting called by worse?
I I'm not sure.
So he's betting to basically get him off a chop or something like that. I mean, honestly, I'd probably just rather check call, knowing that Kartik's super aggressive, and keep his range a bit wider and do some bluffs. If you're going to put that much in the pot, it's like you could put the same amount to the pot and check with as a check call, and then have some bluffs included into his range. So I think I'm not sure I love that river bet there by him. Interesting spot with the nines here. I think this is a pretty standard shove.
Why? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think how many big blinds did he shove? Like he has
About
what?
30. I mean, you can shove versus a cutoff rate up to like 40 big blinds in that spot, not even considering the fact that
But
Kartik.
Kevin, with that kind of stack sizes, I would want to, see the flop and, have a bit of a gameplay rather than just outright putting the stack in with almost like more than 30 big blinds.
I think it's super standard. I mean, it's just so hard. I mean, you can get blown off your equity post flop super easy with that hand. Like flatting the small blind is a dangerous proposition. 3-betting to induce action is no good. So I think just shoving, taking down the pot makes a lot of sense. We're going to see a raise here from Kartik on the button with the ace-4. He flops the gutter and backdoor flush draw. But the big blind
He has a
flops
straight draw.
the second nut flush draw.
He has a gutty straight draw, yeah.
Yep. Interesting card. So it turns the flush. Kartik with the nut flush draw. Seems like a good hand to check back and just realize your equity.
A spade on the river would be interesting.
Carnage.
Let me call for a spade. A spade. Spade on the river.
Yes, RRT doing.
Oh.
That voodoo didn't work, man.
Oh.
You don't think Kartik's running well enough without having to...
But Kartik with the nut blocker is capable of, putting him in a spot. I'm not sure if he's calling the second nut. He's capable of doing that, by the way.
Yeah, I just don't see a call happening here. I mean, if he's going to do anything, he could raise. But you are running the risk of just running into a 5. The big blind has all the 5s. So...
But yeah, but I've seen Kartik do things like, maybe, in given any other day, maybe he would have used the nut blocker and might not even think twice before jamming that river.
Yeah, maybe in a different stage of the tournament, but right now he's able to just pump a simple math equation. Min raise, down bet, win, over and over and over again. And when you start making big bluffs, you lose your ability to pump that equation. So I think that he just wants to keep to the plan. Just be active, down bet, apply ICM pressure, and I don't think he needs to go for big bluffs. Even though in another stage of the tournament he might, he just is in such a good spot that his chips can be better used in other spots. In my opinion.
You're right.
Yeah, at a different stage of the tourney, maybe he would have done it, but not at this stage. Yeah.
Big flop here for strange play. This is a limped pot, right?
It's not about
second nut flush draw, I think.
Yeah, this is a reasonable flip.
I think just has a gutty.
Pure out. Yeah, but pure out, though. I mean, the chance to stack somebody if that offsuit 7 rolls off. And he does call turn as well, huh? Interesting. Now 1 card to the straight. But it does go check. Kartik elects to take the showdown value with his 3rd pair and loses to the top pair, and saw that strange play in fact had a monster, just absolutely massive flop there. So
I think he wasn't getting paid more than what he got right now for the kind of hand that he had. From Kartik at least.
Do you think there's much merit to Kartik maybe giving some walks to A116 just to keep him in the game? Therefore, being able to apply ICM pressure to the other opponents much more. Because I think that maybe if there's like a marginal shove spot when it folds him in the small blind, he might just pass some hands, just keeping the short stack in, knowing that his opponents will be handcuffed from that.
Wow, that's a very interesting strategy, Kevin. I don't think many would have known such kind of a strategy, because personally for me, this is the first time that I've heard something like this, and obviously, yeah, it's a pretty decent thing to do. Out of the people on the FT, I only think Kartik is capable of thinking on those lines, is what I can personally understand. But yeah, it would be pretty interesting to see if Kartik wants to keep the small stacks alive.
I think there's a lot of merit to that strategy at this point because Strange Play is just playing super snug. The times he has tried to open up, he's just ran into it, and Kartik can just keep raising the button, raising under the gun, and then playing the small blind pretty tight just to keep A116 in the table, making it so that those other players haven't achieve that pay jump yet, so they're still handcuffed. So, but I don't think he's going to pass Jack 8 offsuit. But if it was a more marginal spot, I think you could definitely see him maybe applying that strategy.
So you call this the handcuffing strategy, Kevin?
Handcuffing strategy, sure. I mean, these other guys are waiting out that big pay jump, so they don't want to get too involved with Kartik right now. And then as soon as A116 is out of the tournament, those guys have that pressure off of them and can play a little more liberally.
Yeah.
So we see Strange Play opening with the Ace King here. Not a great board for him. I think a reasonable C-bet. Oh, wow. And just a sick turn card here. Diru 91 calls the bottom pair, turns 2 pair. That also gives Strange Play top pair. Interested to see if he check shoves turn here or just continues to slow play. I think there's a lot of merit in check raising.
Ooh.
And that's a pretty dirty card that could be an action killer. Wow, just gets snapped by the Ace King.
I actually thought maybe Strange Play would have re-raised the river. A raise from he was a small blind? No, big blind. The raise from the big blind was pretty obvious, but I thought Sagar could have re-raised the river.
Hello, this is a verification call.
I think he saved himself from an ugly spot.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see Diru 91 raise the turn there with his aces up, just because it's such a wet board. And normally you don't really, the check call lead line when the draws get there is pretty strong, but it didn't matter. Strange Play just snap called anyways with the top pair. And here we are with Kartik waking up with
Beast has a monster.
Right, we're going to see an isolation here and a snap fold from the 4s. He's
Wow.
in the pot dominating. This is a dream spot for Kartik. Oh, sick.
Oh, God.
Runs out 2 pair. And A116 actually gets a half with a double there because of the dead money.
Welcome to Spartan Poker.
Pretty nice result for him. Strange Play with the pretty standard open shove of the Ace-10 suited. We're seeing these guys very similar stacks now, A116 and Strange Play. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to that. I think that they'll probably be pretty tight, kind of waiting for the other person to bust. And certainly A116 has showed that he's willing to get out there. Wow. And he does shove the King 5, gets snap called by the Ace 8, flops the 5. But River Ace, and we are down to 3-handed.
Wow. So, 2 out of my 3 top 3 are in play. So,
Not bad, RRT. It's working today for you.
So viewers who are watching, we are watching the final table of the final table series of India Poker Championship.
Wow. Folds the Jack 10 suited for 9 big blind reshove. Whew. That's rough.
So up top is like 19,50,000 rupees. The third place is going to take home like 9,28,000 rupees.
I think Diru is actually playing this final table pretty well so far. Being pretty careful with his spots and kind of just catching some punts here and there. I think with my chip position, I'd probably be playing a pretty similar style to him, although I don't know if I would have folded the Jack 10 suited to the reshove there. I guess I can see the merit in it. You just don't want to...
if it was live, I would have borrowed some stack from someone and I would have put it in. Jack 10 is my favorite hand. We have jacket versus jacket. Let's just see how this works out to be. So, like, this is the beauty. It's the same hand. We just want to see how two different people would want to play the same hand.
Well, I think there's a lot of
And
merit in Kartik just checking back with suited hands here, especially suited hands that can make a straight draw from when versus blind limp pots. Those are just really good hands to include as checkbacks. You keep your opponent's range as wide as possible.
both of them river is straight, turn straight.
Wow, sick turn card. And strange
And
play.
each,
with
on,
the
each,
check.
each of them would be like trying to trap each other and absolutely going nowhere. It's
I
a
think we're
top
going
pot
to see a
anyway.
pretty small bet here from Kartik.
60,000, 80,000,
Well, I don't think he can still make it that, can he? It's like
100K maybe.
Yeah, like a quarter pot. Oh, he goes
Wow.
bigger. It's interesting.
Yeah, there are two flush draws open. I think it makes a lot of sense to get a bigger bread there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. You want some protection against diamond or club rolling off.
Oh.
And they get it all in and chop it up. Wow, here we go. King of diamonds.
Again,
Let's go.
I just lost count of the number of hands Kartik picked up on this final table. That's about it. I think we are down to just a heads up, unless Strange Play gets really lucky.
Well, he's still got 29% equity, but flop's bottom pair doesn't improve, and we are down to heads up that quickly. But I think that's a pretty standard shove with 30
Well
big
played,
blinds.
Sagar Chaudhary.
I think you're going with almost any ace on the button there with 13 big blinds.
Yeah.
If there was an ace that you could fold, it could be ace deuce. I think ace deuce actually might just in a bubble be a fold there. It's just really bad to have the deuce in your hand. I mean, the ace obviously blocks a lot of things, but if there was an ace you can fold there, I don't think you can blame him for shoving ace deuce there, though.
Well, our second place.
Bottom pair versus big pair.
The second place runner-up is, of course, Sagar Chaudhary under Strange Play, taking home 9.28 lakhs for his efforts. I think he will be a little bit disappointed at not finishing up in heads up, considering the stack that he began this final table with. But yeah, 9 lakhs, not bad to take care of that sting a little bit.
9 lakhs
Pretty good result for
is
him.
really good sum, Peter, because it's like an annual package to the working crowd.
Yeah.
You get paid in a year that much in India if you're working, like if you're a postgraduate or a graduate, maybe. That's
Yep.
a little bit of experience. So yeah, I think Sagar took home a pretty decent chance.
One's annual pay package. That's what Sagar has done, and maybe X number of times more for the final two players. And speaking of the final two players, we can now announce the winners of our contest. We had asked you earlier, who do you think will be the last two players standing at this final table? RRT had put his names out there in the ring, but well, one of them still holds good, which is the Internet Kid, Kartik Ved, and Dhirendra Kumar playing as Dhiru91. Those are the two players who are playing heads up at the moment. And the winners who have put the right answers out there are Deep Down 99 and Snehal 99. So Deep Down 99 and Snehal 99, congratulations. You win tickets into FTS number 15. That event happens tomorrow evening, which is the 21st of November. So good luck to you. And who knows, if you make it to that final table, you might also be taking home a pretty nice chunk of change. We've also got the winner for the second contest question that we did, which is, when is the next edition of the IOPC going to happen? I beg your pardon, which is the next edition of the IOPC? And that answer is the 10th. That's right. There have been 10 editions. There have been 9 editions before this, and now the upcoming edition of the IOPC, which is one of the biggest tournament series that you play on Spartan Poker, is coming up. The 10th edition. You should be a part of that. It's bound to be an exciting schedule of events, and with lots and lots of big guarantees expected there. The 10th edition, that right answer was given by The Skull. So congratulations to The Skull for getting that answer right. And you will be getting a ticket into FTS number 13 again tomorrow early evening, and be a part of that FTS schedule that we are all watching at the moment. And some of us even playing too. Well, gentlemen, I think this should make for an interesting contest. The stacks are relatively even. I'm guessing you guys are still going to, despite Dhiru91 having like a a fairly hot run in the last few months. He's made scores across all the platforms, including Spartan Poker. I think he's definitely in with a chance, of course. But I'm guessing both of you are leaning a little bit more towards Kartik, just given his sheer experience.
Hero definitely has the capability to cause serious damage to Kartik. Wow.
Ooh.
And just as we say it, pocket aces for the internet kid.
I really want to see how he extracts value and closes it in this particular hand, and not just stretch this FT.
And he goes with almost the 4x 3-bet out of position, which is pretty standard these days. Sizes it
But I
down
think
a
this is the
little bit.
first that he has done on this final table. I haven't seen Kartik doing this on this particular FT so far.
And we're all
So,
in,
yeah.
all in a call.
Oh my God. Wow.
That's insane. That's insane.
I would have just smashed my laptop if it happened ever with me. My goodness. One cut straight.
Wow.
For the guts and glory. And just when I said it, I just said it, like, he can cause serious damage and just gets lucky.
Wow, that is just such a sick run out.
That was a pretty
wow
way to get hit on the boy.
But I see. Oh my God. I just can't. I don't have words here.
Yeah. I think everyone, from all of us, we're all just taking like a nice long deep breath and steadying ourselves, even though we're not actually playing this tournament. But boy, that was a little hard to see.
Wow, that is just so gross. That was going to be such a quick heads up match.
Sorry for you,
Kartik. Just finds the one card straight on the river. Just too sick. What a brutal beat for the internet kid.
But I think he comes with a lot of mental grit, and he still has a workable stack. I honestly feel that this is going to be a longer FT than I expected, because this guy is just not going to give up.
Yeah, I think both these guys are pretty primed at this moment. Dhiru, I mean, just making the heads up of any final table would probably put you in the right frame of mind. And both these guys, they've ground through like a 600 plus entry field. I beg your pardon, a 400 plus entry field. So they'll be feeling pretty good about the fact that they're in heads up right now.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting pot there. Kartik floating out of position with the queen 8 off. The king hitting the river, realizing that he doesn't have much showdown value. Or
I think he's going to stop. Oh, shit.
Yep.
Good luck, Kartik.
This could be it. Oh,
wow.
Ace.
Yes, there we have Kartik back in the game. That's poker for you folks. Sometimes you take one beat. Yeah. Sometimes you give one beat.
Give one, get one.
Yeah.
And the stacks are more or less kind of even now. We're back to where we were just before that. Both those hands, in fact, happened. I think you're absolutely right, RRD. This is going to go on for a bit. Both these guys, just the way they've gone about things, they are not looking to give it away even an inch. So unless something really disastrous happens, we're in for it right now.
I think the disaster has already happened, Peter.
Disasters, yeah, there's two of them that just went down. So yeah, that's poker, folks. Things happen within a matter of seconds, in fact. And
that was the Bakchod hand, what kya Bakchod hai.
Yes, we can announce some meme contests that are going to happen on the India Poker Bakchod page about bad beats and.
I think a better way to do it would be, just ask those viewers to caption it. What would you think if you were Kartik in that spot?
Yeah, and add on to that is, RRT has also already mentioned that he would have smashed his laptop and computer and probably gone to his neighbor's house and smashed his computer as well. If he had got that.
You should know who my neighbor is right now. My neighbor is Sri Harsha Dattapaneni.
What are you saying?
So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Well, you'd have some nice monitors to crack, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is, that ends that hand really quick.
Yeah, that's an interesting spot there at the 8-6 because when the board pairs middle pair, that's when initiative can change. So the out of position player can lead there a lot, knowing that the in position player, checks back a lot of middle pairs. It's just a huge equity shift for the out of position player.
Yeah.
And we have Kartik here with top pair, good flush draw. Duru91 with the dangling deuce flush draw. Pretty
Straight draw. I think Kartik has a very strong hand.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of sizing he elects here, because if he's ahead, he really has the deck killed, right? He doesn't have to worry about the straight coming in or the flush coming in.
That's single card. I think I think Dhiru could just float and see the river. He's capable of doing it. He has a hand. But
Yeah, I
he
like that
decides
sizing
not to.
there on the turn, though. That's good sizing. You don't need to go for big sizing when you have the deck so killed like that. I mean, you want to just induce action from a lot of straight draws and flush draws that are worse than you, and pairs that are worse than you. So I think that's pretty standard. He just went with like the 1.5 big blind bet there, and that's what we've seen a lot from him, is just luring people in, trying to keep the ranges wide, and helping to find his opponent's hand. Let's see, Duru with the ace queen opens the button. Internet Kid peeling the 9-7 off, pretty standard defend. He flops the gut shot. Seems like a pretty standard check call. I can't imagine that he would want to check raise a hand that has such a pure out.
I think he can just flat and take the turn and decide later.
Yeah, I mean, for the same price as check raising here, you can check call and then down the road.
That's what
Let's go for the check
differentiates
raise. I
Kartik.
find that surprising.
Yeah.
I find that a little
I still
surprising.
remember a hand where Peter was talking and I saw Kartik raise with the bottommost pair, three-betting him. If you remember that hand?
The 7-5, he had middle pair, right?
Yeah. I think that was a big move.
Yeah, with middle pairs that weak, because like you have the 5 middle pair, which means there's like so many cards in the deck that are over that could come on the turn. That's much more reasonable to check raise those sort of middle pairs. Like as opposed to like a 10 on an ace 10 board, you're not worried about so many middle pairs or cards coming over your middle pair. But when you have like a middle pair with a 5, like that becomes much more of a reasonable check raise.
So for viewers who are watching the stream, we would also be doing some commentary in Hindi in the coming days ahead. So keep watching.
And here we have the exact same situation that I was just talking about. 5s on the King 4 deuce board. There's not that many turn cards that you're excited about. Your opponent's auto c-betting. Seems like a pretty good spot to check raise, get some protection from your hand, try to win the pot right there. And if you get resistance, basically just give up, which is what we're going to see here. Interesting 3-bet as well from the King Jack. I think there's a lot of merit for calling there, being that there's some draws and some middle pairs that are check raising. But I think with such a strong kicker in your top pair, like you're pretty happy just getting stacks in the off chance that Kartik is check raising like a weaker top pair there that
lead, yeah.
And again with the pocket 5s.
We could see a confrontation.
I think the deck needs to be shuffled a bit more.
Wow. I can't imagine Kartik is going to call this off. I mean, he's got to think he's got an edge. I think it's standard to call it off. Pretty gross spot. Yeah, he does call it off.
Wow.
He gets a double. Stick hand.
Kartik is back. Chip leading.
The stacks have shifted once again, and this time in the favor of...
Would you have called Kevin that particular hand pocket 5?
I mean, I guess it depends on how well I rate my opponent. If I think my opponent's pretty decent, which I think Duru91 is playing pretty well at this point. I mean, chip EV, yes, you're supposed to call. If you feel like you have an edge on your opponent and they're a very weak opponent, then you could pass these sort of spots. Just knowing that you have a lot of edge.
But shoving ace 10 also, I don't know if I would be shoving ace 10 heads up.
I think it's probably fine. Yeah, I mean, say you're a full ring game, the small blind raises, ace 10, 30 big blinds, just right in their face. Ace 10, ace jack, maybe like some split strategies with ace queen and ace 9. But seems fine to me.
So the viewers who are watching, please don't go on my commentary and start implementing any of the strategies based on what I say. But on the flip side, I would definitely ask you to go and play or implement whatever you hear from Kevin or anyone else. on stream. I'm not to be blamed there.
Well,
Wow,
needless to
another-
say, you'll be raising a lot of heart rates with the way RRT goes about his play. So yeah,
I wouldn't have been like sitting with my stack this long. It would have been an all-in with any two.
along with some cracked monitors.
Yeah.
Well, we could see another confrontation here. I can't imagine the Jack 9 suited is going to be folding. I think a 3-bet shove here is pretty reasonable.
There you go.
And Kartik check raising the 8-5 has put himself in a gross spot,
Wow,
but you don't want to lose the value
six.
of your hand. Wow, we are just seeing chip lead swing back and forth between these guys. So the Jack 9 hits their flush on the turn. I think Kartik still had boat outs there, though, right? Like he turned to
Yeah.
pair.
He hit his 2-pair on the turn. Yeah.
Just a completely wild heads-up match so far, and we're just seeing massive swings, massive confrontations. Feels like every other hand they're all in. So this has been a lot of fun to watch. Certainly fun to watch two of the better players at the final table navigate the chip stacks to get to this point. And man, it's the heads-up match is certainly delivered.
Yeah, and the fun part is that they've been getting good cards, they've been getting not so great cards, and the action has still been at that level. And sure enough, for the viewers who've just tuned in, we're down to heads up in this FTS Big Game tournament. And up top, that prize of just under 19, I beg your pardon, just under 20 lakhs, 19.4549 lakhs up for the winner. And second place will get 12.38 lakhs as well. So that's the cookies that all of these guys are playing for.
Wow, and Kartik goes with the blocker bet, 20% pot, a little bit less. Just trying to name his own price for showdown, and Duru 91 is having none of it and raising with the second pair. Pretty good at pretty ambitious play, but he must have a read.
Yeah, I think he's not even scared about a flush draw. He's not, scared about anything there. The river raise look pretty solid, I would say.
Yeah, but it was more of a merge raise, right? I mean, he's not polarized. He's kind of sneaking in there with a middle pair raise, kind of ranging his opponent correctly, and realizing that Kartik is just trying to name his own price for showdown there and just not letting him have it. So very interesting spot. Something I think I would probably just call it the 10-3 suited there, just being happy to show it down. But he did range Kartik properly and went with a raise in a spot that should be more polarizing, but instead kind of merged his range a bit there to try to get some
I think Kartik is going to call this
value.
off. Ooh,
Oh,
Wow.
that's a nitty fold. Kartik, when did you become so nitty? Kartik, are you listening, Kartik?
disappointment for RRT more than for Kartik Ved in that one.
I'm sure I'm going to catch up with him sometime in Goa. He stays right in the same city right now. I'm going to ask him, what a nit.
Yes, the internet kid is answerable to every single person, including RRT. There's some tough
At
questions.
least to me, if not anyone else.
Yeah, he's going to
He
pose
was my
some
coach.
tough questions.
Interesting turn card here. Duru with the gut shot and the flush draw. Instead of taking the free card for his draw, has elected to bet quite large. It's going to get the call from the Queen 7. I think a little dangerous for the Queen 7 to raise turn there. So a little bit lower variance just to call and
Why
evaluate
wouldn't
river.
that, Kevin? I think maybe, just to restrict someone chasing a flush draw, which essentially was what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty wet board, so there's certainly some consideration for trying to protect your top pair. But I think top pair probably, especially with a weak kicker like that and a gut shot, seems like a pretty good call just to control the size of the pot. Allow your opponent to try to bluff rivers if he misses his draws. And I think that Kartik played that hand just fine.
E6, King 7. Pros are capable of
Wow.
doing things. I was just about to say, pros are capable of doing stuff that you would hardly imagine, and that's what happened.
Wild. Well, I know the solvers like kind of messing around with the King 7 off in these 20, 25 big blind spots.
The solver
Certainly.
can run a thing or two from Kartik then. Kartik fanboys, say hi.
Hi.
Dhiren's fanboys, do say hi. It's
I'm a
just,
fanboy too. I mean, I've just enjoyed this heads-up match so much.
it's
This
just
has been-
injustice.
this has been
We
great.
are so inclined towards, wanting a friend to win on this team. I think I shouldn't be that this biased. Yeah.
A pretty interesting check here from Duru91. I mean, this is a limp pot, and he turned 2 pair after Kartik checked back on a very wet board. I mean, double flush draw, lots of straight draws out there. I would have expected the Queen 7 to bet, but I think he's just, I mean, he must have a read that Kartik is just going to be overly aggressive in these spots.
Yeah.
And he does earn himself a river bet. Kartik, knowing that he can't check back and win with the 8-4, feels obligated to bluff. And we're probably going to see a raise here.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And a snap fold from the complete airball of Kartik.
I really love the way Dhiren has played this hand. Completely disguised. He didn't even try, revealing any part of his hand, and he did get some value at the end.
Yeah, I mean, he won a river bet that he normally would have never got by playing that hand that way. But I think against the normal range of hands, I'd probably just be betting my 2 pairs. I mean, especially on a wet board, there's so many things that Kartik could have that he calls with. But obviously, knowing the cards, we know he maximizes value in that spot.
I think the 2:1 chip play has swung at least thrice so far, and we yet are to see anything which is nearing the end. Open ender for Dhiren. Kartik has absolute air.
Yeah, open ender, backdoor flush draw, and an overcard. Pretty nice flop for him. I think you could see a variety of things here. Most standard being just a check call.
Wow. He has an open ender, a flush draw, and whatnot.
Yeah,
His
just
board
so
is
much
screaming
equity
at you.
here. I don't
There
think
you
he
go.
needs to. Wow, and he hits the open ender and hits the backdoor flush. So all the way around this board. But hard to see Kartik committing any more chips to this pot. So I think we're just going to see a bet and a fold here, and Kartik getting into the danger zone here at 20 big blinds again. But he's been here before, and we've seen him come back. So
True.
if the heads-up match like this, really anything can happen. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what sizing I would do here. It feels like you're just never getting called, so I might just want to bet really small. Certainly can't blame him for betting half pot there, though.
Yeah, maybe 1/3 to get
Yeah, I think I'd probably
Yeah.
just go a little bit smaller. Just, I mean, he's so unlikely to have a straight. I mean, he could obviously have a straight, but you want to target more of those 1 pair hands or ace high hands.
Yeah.
And just really try to get value from those, or induce a bluff when you have a flush. Like inducing a bluff there is pretty good. Plus, he could just value cut himself if Kartik does have a straight, then he can just value cut him because maybe induce a raise out of the straight and have the flush there to beat him anyways.
I think Kartik will try to get a better hand than this. Yeah, it's fold. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to step away for a few minutes, just get that 3rd cup of coffee for this evening's play because it looks like this is going to go on for a while. So I'll come back in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Peter. Pleasure having you.
See you soon.
So Duru opening the 8-7 off here. I think the king high board's pretty standard C bet for the pre-flop raiser.
And Kartik doesn't believe.
Yeah, he's shown that he's capable of floating out of position to the down bets, which is something the other opponents at the table have not done. So I think Kartik, realizing that nobody else is doing that, and it is quite standard, I think, to be check calling 2 overcards to middle pair in these sort of spots. Duru definitely could have continued betting there, but I think without a diamond in his hand, he just kind of wanted to take the free card, see if he peels a 9 or a 4, and this.
I think that's a very courageous raise. When you see a flush complete, but floating a king high board with absolute nothing and still betting the river. I think there's a lot of thought behind it. It's just not that easy as it looks like.
Yeah, well, you just don't want to under continue to see bets, right? So if you have 2 overcards, 2 middle pair, like these are pretty nice hands to continue with, and it's a mistake you see a lot of amateur players making is just not continuing enough with the overcards to middle pair, just like being like, oh, I'm dead to a king, not realizing that they still have pretty decent equity against the total range, and you can't just immediately give your.
We have a straight
credit
with a single card flush.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to go bet call, go to Kartik. Interesting spot. Again, we see the same sort of strategy of trying to name his own price for showdowns, so going for a smaller bet, kind of knowing that he's going to check call with the queen anyways, but he just wants to name the price a bit cheaper. And Kartik really can't do anything but just call with the low flush there. So Duru 91 definitely made it so that he didn't lose as much as he could have if he just checked the river there. So a nice play from him, I think.
Wow. I think it's a 2 pair on the river. It would be really interesting to see if Queen 3 really would want to call of this hand. Small, cheeky bet. Yeah.
You're just going to see a snap fold there, but I do like the lead there with the 8-3. You have a gut shot, you have bottom pair. It's a hand that's kind of too weak to check call, so it's a nice hand to incorporate as like a lead bluff. I mean, you could have the best hand, could just have snap folds, but like you're not really comfortable check calling a weak bottom pair like that with just a gutter. So perfectly fine leading hand, and kind of an ambitious call from the Queen 3 there on the turn. I guess he just doesn't want to get exploited when he flops a piece. I mean, it's hard to make a pair in heads up, so. Wow, and here we have another interesting spot. Gut shot, backdoor flush draw to the nuts, and then just the flush draw for Kartik.
I think it's a standard fold for Kartik, unless he tries something very creative.
Yeah, I think just call. I mean, you don't want to check raise these hands. Wait,
Yeah.
what? He had 7-6 diamonds, right?
No, he just had 6-7 offsuit. Yeah.
Okay,
You misread the hand, Kevin. Yeah.
I'm used to 4-color decks. What can I say? Yeah, so pretty standard to check fold, obviously. My apologies. Yeah, and again, these 9 high sort of middling card boards, just really the pre-flop raiser is going to want to check back these sort of boards with a much higher frequency. So we do see Kartik not electing to c-bet there at the 10-3 suited. He really doesn't have any equity, I mean, very limited equity. So I think he's fine just kind of giving up those boards, knowing that the equity advantage goes to the out of position player in those spots. And Duru opening the 8-7, Kartik defending any cards he'll be defending.
Any two, yeah.
Straight. Yeah. I wouldn't say any two, but any two that can make a straight certainly are going to be in there. But I don't think we've really seen him fold to the min raise very much, have we? I don't think it's really happened.
I think suited is, pretty standard.
The blinds are getting
people watching the stream, the up top is going to take home 19,49,000 rupees. Whoever ships this tournament, and the second prize is 12,38,000 rupees. A pretty decent money, so it's essentially a 7 lakh flip that we would be seeing sometime sooner or later.
Yeah, it's a pretty massive pay jump. I mean, the difference between second and third was about this is about 2.5x the previous pay jump. So this is really, you really want to get heads up and really want to have a chance to take down the first prize, because this is a pretty massive jump compared to the rest of the table. the rest of the payouts at the final table. So interesting spot here. We have the queen high with the gutter.
I think
Kartik with trips. Queen high is not going to be able to continue.
I really don't know about the turn raise. I don't think. What do you think about it, Kevin? The size of the bet. Like, really, should Kartik be betting so huge, or maybe just check call the turn and maybe like sneak in on the river?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think you really have to bet so big when it's board pair. I mean, the equities run really hot cold, so the sizes should be in relation to the equities, so the equities are going to be hot cold, which means one person's going to be way ahead, one person's going to be way behind, and when those situations come up, you can size down. So I think, I mean, I'd hate to criticize the young phenom.
I'm here to judge. I am here to judge. I just told everyone on the stream. I'm here to judge people.
Yeah, I think he could probably just go with a smaller size there, but I think betting's fine.
I think it's a good thing to get paid for judging people for a living. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you did say you were here to judge from the very get-go.
Yeah.
So
no one can complain.
Interesting. Kartik kind of realizes that his queen high probably isn't good there. Very likely his opponent has ace high. Can't withstand a bet. Went check, 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 and turns his queen high into a bluff. Gets the sap fold from the ace high. So it's these little pots that add up from the heads up match, and this is taking these sort of spots where he's ranging his opponent correctly and realizing when he has showdown value or not are in these small pots are the things that are really going to edge out Kartik in this heads up match should he end up winning it.
Look at the battle. We just see the ratio chipped, the heads up ratio getting decreased slowly. Kartik had at one point he had he was shortest stack. He had 1:3 was the ratio deficit. Mm-hmm. Right now we could see almost similar stacks. I think a couple of hands. I think we can even see equal stacks. So yeah, it's been a battle.
Yeah, it has, and the blinds have basically doubled since we've gotten to the heads up match. So I mean, the action is quite fast and furious at this point. The stakes are constantly getting increased. And
Kartik, if you know, a couple of years back, he even cashed the main event in the top 100.
Yeah, I do remember that. All my Indian buddies were going crazy, saying that this guy is the second coming. And I mean, that's when I first heard about him, is when he made that main event run. And
yeah, he's capable of taking those really, really tough spots because he has been in high pressure situations way more than many people are playing poker in India. So yeah,
I mean, making top 100 in the World Series is just a super sick accomplishment. It's such a grind.
Yeah,
and you have such a variety of opponents, and we obviously see that he's adaptable to situations as he's navigated this final table with the big stack. I mean, he's opened up his range when he's needed to, and I think he's been pretty clever about the times where he's limped to trap the ace-3 suited from earlier in the final table, and the times he's just checked back with some of his connecting straight cards from the small blinds limped. He's adapting very well to his opponents, and he's ranging them very well. So I mean, you can just see the experience playing out here.
I would have lost my shit when I lost that aces hand for aces. Pretty standard for me to lose. Yeah. That was heads up for the glory. It was just game over. And
I'm a little happy that I get, maybe not happy, but just from the ability to watch the rest of this final table play out, it would have been a little unsatisfying just to have the ace-10 aces and have it be over right then, because we wouldn't have got to see all this great play. So I guess for
that is very sadistic, Kevin. That's very sadistic. Yeah.
I think for my own selfish reasons that I'm quite happy that he lost there, just because I get to see him play and battle back from a short stack, and he's been doing a pretty good job so far.
Some part of me does agree with you there. Yeah.
It would have felt unsatisfying to have it just end that quickly. Although
True.
he obviously deserved to win with the aces, but we are rewarded with some top-notch heads-up play here.
What? I think the headset has been running for the past 25, 30 minutes, maybe. If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it feels like it's been going for a while now.
Yeah. So for people
And
watching the stream, this is how a proper grind looks like. It's just not flipping hands. Poker is a skill game, and we can see skill right in front of us, battling it out since the past 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, we're probably going to see a limp here with the suited handout. He just elects to raise. I can't imagine ace-nine's doing anything but shoving, yeah, and getting a snap fold. And king-9 suited on the button, pretty standard open. 10-3. See, we're not going to see him defending any two cards. I think when you have, a really bad hand like 10-3 offsuit, you're going to see some snap folds there. So Kartik not defending any two, but defending probably about 80-85% of hands still. And interesting spot here, pre-flop raise with the ace-4 suited, doesn't flop any diamonds. Really wet board, completely unconnected with it. I think we're just going to see him check back here. Maybe he'll elect to go with a small bet. Oh, wow, he goes with a big bet. I find that very surprising. And, I mean, what is the 10-6 suited going to do here? I think he probably just raise, get it in. Wow, he just calls. And Kartik turns basically the best card in the deck here. The 3 of diamonds gives him the double gut shot.
I think he's pretty much capable of overbet shoving this particular turn, Maybe he knows or he can figure out that somebody's chasing the first draw. Because if he had a pair, he would have expected a re-raise on the flop itself.
Right, and that's been Duru 91's MO so far. Is he has raised his top pairs. So, yeah, but I think once you pick up that much equity, you don't want to bet and fold.
Oh, yes,
2x pot is a little bit too much to shove. So he takes the free card to the double gut shot, and Duru rivers his own gut shot, the 3-7 straight. So he doesn't get the heart, but he does backdoor himself into a very nice hand. I would expect to see a bet here, and I just don't see how Kartik can possibly call with 4th pair. I think this is going to be a fold, and Kartik again is going to be sub 20 big blinds. He's battled to get back to even a couple of times, but just hasn't been able to get over the hump, and it must be a little frustrating having your opponent all in.
But it's a very disguised hand. Even if we look at Kartik thinking that Dhiren has been chasing a flush draw, he wouldn't keep him on, let's say, an ace-6 or a king-6 and floating and getting there on a single cut straight. I think Kartik is capable of calling this off. The amount of time that he's taking is tanking. Don't, Kartik. See, I just said it.
Did call. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hands he beats there. I mean, there's 8-9s, 10-8s, 10-9s, king high floats, queen high floats, all out of position, obviously. So, guess he just figures that having a pair is enough value. There's enough bluffs there, and makes the call and has shown the straight. So, he's now riding about 13, 14 big blinds now. So
it's like 1:4 chip lead by Dhiren, and Kartik is not going to let this go off easily. Stay tuned, people on the stream. We have 9s for Kartik on the button. Snap shove. No, he decides to just limp.
Yeah, I think with 9s, it's a strong enough hand you can do some action. So, if Duru did have a hand that he would fold to a shove, but may reshove over an open, you just want to make sure to keep that range as wide as possible. 9s is going to dominate so many things. So I think that's too strong a hand to just rip it in. you'll see ripping it in with a lot lower pairs like 5s and below. 4s, 3s, deuces definitely will just want to open shove. But once you get to the point where he might have some ace X or king X that he wants to reshove that you dominate, you
Dhiren doesn't want to float with a gut shot.
And deuces in the big blind here. Interesting to see what Duru does facing the short stacked opponent. He's going to elect for the limp. I think this is going to be a pretty standard just shove with the deuces.
Yeah.
We're going to see the fold from Duru 91. So we've really seen Kartik at this final table navigating with all sorts of different stack sizes, and it's been really fun watching him having to.
Yeah, I haven't seen him getting uncomfortable with any stack size. Like, he has still done what he needs to do, you know?
Yeah, I think that speaks to his experience a lot. He's obviously, been there and done that and seen all of these situations before. So really all that experience is helping him out a lot here.
Blinds up right now. Kartik has
We're going to 100K, 200K, right?
Yep. And he has just 10 bigs.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty standard shove there with any ace on the button on that stack size.
Snapshot.
And another ace. It's pretty nice when you just get dealt an ace every time and heads up too. Wow.
I think he's shoving a lot of hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I think king 5. This is pretty close spot.
I think any ace X, king X is a pretty standard shove. I've seen him do that quite a lot number of times, even just not on FTs, even in other spots, fairly early in the tournament, in the middle stages of the tournament. Yeah, we have seen Kartik do that before.
Hey guys, I'm back, and clearly there is no end to this final table heads up going on right now. But it's good to see that there's been a much longer stretch at this final table with these guys going at it with each other.
Oh, Peter, you came back just in time to see an all-in and a call.
Oh, oh God, this is not going to end. I have plans to go to the casino, and I think I'm only going tomorrow.
Kartik Ved, the Internet Kid versus Dhirendra Kumar, Dhiru91. You guys are on the spot right now because RRT needs to get there. Oh,
I need to cook dinner as well. Come on, guys, let's.
Well, Kevin, there's your king of diamonds, my friend.
Again.
But we're not going to see much action here with this 60 seated. But yeah, oh man, I love peeling those kings. Oh, I love them. I almost like kings better than I like aces. When you have kings, more likely somebody else has a hand because you don't.
So have you known Kunal Patni by any chance, Kevin?
Yeah, I know Kunal.
So Kunal is infamously known for kings. His kings never hold up.
Yeah, he's got the worst luck in the world. I mean, there's probably like a few hundred memes out there with Kunal getting busted on his kings every so often.
Like, he has got busted with kings in Macau, he has got busted with kings in Manila, he has got busted with kings in Vegas. I think he has got busted everywhere with kings. Kings holding up for Kunal is a miracle.
Well, they are ace magnets, they call them that for a reason. But for me, it's more queens. Queens is like the hand that if I'm deep in a tournament, I get queens. I just feel like I'm going to be out of the tournament. Certainly that's the way it was for a few months recently.
I think Jacks is a shittier card than queens.
I can handle Jacks. Jacks I play pretty carefully, and it's just like queens. I just always stick the money in with, and they either have ace king or aces or kings. So I just feel like
the only way to play Jacks is, Kevin, is fold.
Fold. I was gonna say to win with them. That's the key. That's the strategy. Is just when you play a hand, win it. Instead of losing it.
We can see people not winning with aces here. So yeah, Jacks is overrated.
Yeah, I don't know anything about losing with aces. I always win with aces. So.
Ace-9 for Dhiru, picking up a nice little hand there. I'm not sure he's going to get much going unless the Internet Kid decides to get a little creative.
Yeah, interesting to just limp with the ace-9 there. Certainly, suited aces are nice trap hands. I think that there's enough 9x that he's defending, though, that it probably just merits a raise in the first place because you just dominate so much of his defending range. You just want more money in the pot. But an interesting strategy there to just limp, kind of trying to get Kartik to make a mistake with an overly loose shove.
I just look at Kartik, battling out with his 10 bigs, and this is what the game teaches us. Never to lose hope. You have to have that grit, a lot of mental stability to hang in there, and fight it out, still out, after having so much of swings. For a normal player, it would be like so many thoughts coming into play at that particular spot. We have almost like 7-8 lakhs of a pay jump.
And
So
here
there's a
we're
lot to learn out here. Yeah, for me, it's a lot of learning. Like the patience that he has.
Oh
Wow, there you go, run like Kartik. There you go, run like Kartik. Run like Kartik.
This heads up match won't end. They just keep getting it in, being dominated and winning or chopping. And yeah, Kartik with the big double there with ace-9 versus ace-10, finding the 9 on the flop. Pretty sick. And
Wow.
he just hasn't given up the whole time.
That's a nice little flop there.
Very action-y flop. Interested to see how the 7's going to react to the big
Wow,
bet
2
there.
pairs,
Keep it
flush
small.
draw, and he has just the second pair on the board.
Yeah, Duru 91's over there playing Hold'em, and Kartik is playing Omaha.
Oh, that's how.
Wow, he's hanging in there hard.
Wow, this heads-up match has just been wild. What a pleasure it is to get to watch this. This has been a lot
You're
of fun.
welcome, Kevin. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't even know why I said that.
Thank the poker gods for the aces losing to the ace-10 so that I could watch all of this for the next 40
Thank you,
minutes.
Spartan Poker, for having us here and making our one evening very interesting and exciting.
And longer than we expected. It could have all come to an end in the very first hand of heads up. And here we are.
Why don't you just order some food for me, Peter? Just bring some food for me. I think I'm going to be here for a while.
I think we're probably going to have to do that for both of you guys. The internet kid hits his jack.
I think he's going to take down the spot. Easy peasy. We can see a small C bet, maybe like 3 lakhs or maybe 2.4.
I don't think we'll see a bet. I think that's a pretty. If you're going to check back flop, may as well just keep checking back turn. Evaluate rivers. Wonder if he's even going to bet the river. Like, what do you get called by?
You can still bet the river.
Nah. I mean, unless he's getting called by king high, or like the guy never has like 6s through 10s because he would have put a raise in pre-flop. So just you're not really
Equal
getting called
stacks.
by
We
tens.
just had like 5 minutes back, 7 minutes back. We had 1:4 chip deficit. Now we have equal stacks back again.
Yeah.
Okay.
91 literally about 5 hands ago had about 8.9 million versus 1.9 million.
2 million.
Kartik.
Yeah, 2 million of, yeah.
Yeah, and Duru flops 2 pair here with the queen 3, and traditionally we've seen Kartik check raising these weak middle pairs, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it again here.
Yep.
Ooh,
Called it.
Kartik has.
I mean, it seems like a pretty good spot to just call and just let him hang himself. I mean, with 2 pairs and a backdoor flush draw, there's not really anything that you're super worried about.
I really like the check there after, re-raising the flop. So Kartik is not letting anything loose out there. So these are the kind of hands where, people tend to get a bit more passive, at least the Indian fields.
What do you like for a size here?
Maybe.
Juru's pot. He goes
Oh,
with
yeah.
2/3 pot. Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
little bit bigger on the 3-4 spades on the board. It's a little more wet. You probably want to size up a bit rather. He's been traditionally doing half pot bets in similar spots, but I think with that texture, 2/3, a little bit bigger is a little bit more warranted. Interesting.
We have top pair with this middle pair.
And this is sort of what I was talking about when you have a middle pair, but you're not so worried about a card over your middle pair coming. It becomes more of a check call. When you have a weak middle pair where overcards can come to your middle pair, then it's much more reasonable to check raise those boards. So we've seen Kartik doing that strategy where when he has a strong middle pair, he check calls. When he has a weak middle pair that's very
Check raises.
vulnerable, check raises, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about before, and we see it exemplified in this hand.
Wow,
And
Kartik has a 2 pair on the river. We really want to see if he bets or check calls. I don't know if he'll leave any room for the button to just check the river. Yeah, I think this is very interesting.
yeah, he's just naming his price for showdown. He knows if his opponent has an ace, that he'd probably be check calling this board anyways, and instead of having to deal with a 2/3 or half-size pot bet, he bets 1/3 to kind of freeze the action and potentially get value as well. So I think that's a pretty smart play by him there.
I think this is the first time that I'm watching Dhiren play, and I must say that I'm super impressed that he has given such a tough fight to a formidable opponent.
Yeah, I think Juru91 has just played very well this final table. I mean, out of all the other players besides Kartik, I think he's shown that he has the chops to make it to the heads-up match, first of all, and then to hang with a very tough opponent. Of course, he did get very lucky, but we have seen him hang in with a guy who's just, super tough, and my hat's off to him for
Your queens are here, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a strong enough hand that you could just 3-bet.
Okay, Ronnie's
snap shove. Yeah, I mean,
I think he could have just extracted more value going onto the flop or something. Maybe I'm not sure about the pre-shove.
yeah, I think it's so strong, but 20 big blinds, it's like it looks really strong to just 3-bet, So maybe that's the reason why. But I from 400K to 1.4, I think would have been pretty reasonable, something like that. Even 1.2, make a smaller re-raise, and then Kartik would have been, very much obligated to call with the 10-9 suited. But instead, when you reshove, he just makes the 10-9 suited a very easy snap fold.
You have 22 different hands. Ace Queen versus Jack 10.
And we're gonna see the same thing, I'm assuming here. We're just gonna have to do reshoving. Wow, this has just been quite the heads-up match to watch. I mean, this is a lot of fun.
I thought the heads-up would be like a 2020 cricket match. This looks more like a test figure.
Yeah, neither of these guys are just not willing to let it go. And fair enough, there's a lot at stake here. Almost 20 lakhs in prize money up top.
Yeah, the pay jump from first to second as opposed to the pay jump from second to third is just massive. So really a lot on the line for both of these players at this
I think
point.
there is no deal option, right? Peter?
I mean, we weren't really expecting Kartik to make a
There
deal,
should
were
be.
we?
There should be. Although I'm not sure we can see it, of course, but there should be ideally because all the
Because I've never even seen any of them asking for a deal.
So it's on the individual player screen that they have that option. So if it does
Yeah.
take place, it will pretty
I
much.
mean, I haven't even seen someone chat and just, say it out, like, do you want a deal?
Yeah, in fact, yesterday's feature tournament just ended up really quick because I'm guessing everyone checked their deal boxes, and before you knew it, the tournament had just ended. We thought there was a glitch in the gameplay, in fact, and so we had to just wait till the game team came back to confirm that it had indeed ended. So, yeah, a little bit of mystery around that.
Yeah, it says a lot of internet, yeah. Internet usage.
Absolutely. Suited
We
card.
just have to look for coolers now because they aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, interesting spot here with the 6 versus a min bet. I think that's a pretty easy call. I guess we're expecting a double barrel here from the flush draw. What do you guys think?
He can, but maybe he would just want to see the river and maybe decide. But yeah,
Yeah, limp pot. I mean, he has more ace X than the out of position player, so it seems like a pretty standard double barrel. There are some spots there though where you just want to take the free card and realize your equity with your flush draw. It would be a disaster if you put a bet in and had to fold it on the turn. But I don't think he was too worried about that happening, considering the pre-flop action. And we are getting back to basically a 2-1 chip lead, over 2-1 now.
and I'm not even surprised. You can just see Kartik doubling up very soon, and I think we can wait till tomorrow since or before we have a winner.
Well, let's hope it doesn't take that long. Kartik limps the 7-4 off on the button here.
Flops a 2-pair.
Chooses option the
Top
queen
2.
8. Top 2 pair for the internet kid.
And get
And the snap fold from
nothing.
the eye without
Nothing
really
from
any
the end.
backdoors. Yeah, we're just going to see a
I think
shove.
Kartik
with
is, we
deuces
can see,
here.
we can see him snap shoving this. Usually he has done that before. Yeah.
Similar to what I was talking about before when he had nines. That's a strong nines is a strong enough hand to induce action, but with deuces through fours, really, you just want to just rip it in and just take down the pot. And if you get called, know that most of the time you're going to at least be flipping.
And again, Kartik is capable of shoving something like a king X suited, yeah, but then he decides to just play small. The hands are going so quick, even before we could say something, it's on to the next hand.
Hello, Queens.
Hello there. Now, this would be interesting to see because we have seen how Dhiren played his queens. Now we would want to see how Kartik plays his queens. Still gets no value.
Yeah, he goes with like the 3.2x out of position, which I think is fine. If you're a little deeper stacked, you probably want to make it a bit more, but considering how shallow they are, I think 3.2 is probably the optimal size to make it there with a big pair. You want to make sure that if your opponent does have some limp calls, that you're keeping them as wide as possible.
And again, we see the chip to chip ratios, decreasing. We can expect a snapshot from Kartik with A6. I'm not sure.
I think 20 big blinds is a bit much once he gets into the like 15,
Ooh,
maybe 16 big blind range.
Yeah. I think it's betting into almost a cold deck.
Yeah, check call I like. Yeah, that's good. And I think we're going to see Kartik.
Kartik is going to check back with the kind of experience that he has. It is not going to be anything creative here. Yeah, see?
And top full house.
Wow.
For a little bit of insurance in case he needed it, which he didn't. We're going to see the big bet. I think I prefer a smaller bet in these sort of spots just because you have the deck so killed. Like, you even block the 9. So what are you trying to get called by if you bet 2/3 pot? You're trying to get called by a 6 or a hand like Kartik has, which is ace high. So I think a smaller bet there, targeting those sort of hands would have been prudent. Certainly can't blame him for putting a lot of chips in the pot with top full house, though. And the blinds have increased again. So
yeah, it's 120 to 40.
Yeah, Kartik is right around that 13, 14 big blind range again. But he's been here before and battled back, so just really been a lot of fun.
Just a matter of one flip. We just have 1:2 chip. Kartik hits his 9.
And we're going to see a value bet and a snap fold.
Actually, one of our commentators, Sam Brazavi, is pretty well known for playing the short stack. I think, for me, I look at him as a short stack expert. For the matter of fact, Sam Brazavi had gone into multiple final tables with less than 10 big blinds and went on to ship those tournaments. So
Yeah, a bunch of those, especially in the Asian region, he's had a number of successful outings there.
yeah. So we wouldn't call any of these two for that matter, Kartik, a short stack.
Yeah, now that we're seeing him getting into the 13, 14 big blind range, he's going to start ripping those weaker ace X's. So before, when he had 20 big blinds, he just elected to open the ace 3. Now that he's at 14 big blinds, he's open ripping the ace deuce. So you can see how the stack size changes how he plays his hands. It's not just about hand strength, but how you manage your stack. And pretty standard shove there from him last hand with the ace deuce. Wow, king high call. I like it.
There you go.
This is a common mistake that people make, is just completely under continuing with their king highs. The ace high board hits. You get a standard C bet. A lot of people just snap fold their king highs here, but Kartik's aware that his opponent's going to be betting a lot of those ace high boards. King high still has a reasonable amount of value, especially with backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. And he's going to win it with king high. That's pretty nice. Pretty nice. So that just exemplifies, though, how the population of poker players generally under continues in these spots. But he knows that his opponent's going to attack the ace high board, realizes that the king high has a lot of value there still, and is not going to just sacrifice his equity when the opponent's range is so wide. So I think that again speaks to his experience.
Yeah, we have said a lot about Kartik's experience. At the same time, if you know, Kartik is just like under 25, 26, if I'm not wrong. So the kind of age, the kind of game he plays, it's just sick.
It can be very misleading because, I met a lot of guys on tour when they were 18 years old, and here we're playing against legends of the game who are in their 40s and 50s, and I know the 18-year-olds play more poker hands than they have. Because on online poker, you can just get so much volume in, just get such a wealth of experience. You get so many hands played, especially playing, I'm not sure how many tables these guys play, but me personally, I play anywhere from 6 to 12 tables, sometimes more on a Sunday. You just get so many hands, that online, and that's what's so great about online poker. You just get so many reps in that you can easily surpass the number of hands played lifetime versus a live pro just by grinding online for a couple of years. And we know Kartik's a grinder. We know he puts the volume in. So
I think all these pros play anywhere between like 10 to 18 tables, some even 20 on a given Sunday. Sunday being the prime days of the week, and they play so many hands.
Yeah, on Sundays only do I really get up above 20. Usually I try to keep it between 6 and 12. I have my dual monitors set up, so I do 6 on one and 6 on the other. And once I get,
I usually play like one table. If I'm going into the second table, I'm getting busted in the first two levels in both the tables. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, do it once, do it right.
I just get too bored if I'm sitting there playing one or two tables, especially like some of the sites I play on. Like there's just so much stalling. There's a lot of downtime between folding, and like most of the time you're just sitting there folding hands, So like I get a little bored if I'm playing one or two tables. So I watch a web series. 6 I can play and pay very good attention to and feel like I'm not making any mistakes. Once I get up to above 12, I know I'm sacrificing some value just to increase my hourly, which is probably fine. For the bottom line, it's definitely fine. But I'm definitely not maximizing all of the spots that I'm taking. And I notice a huge decline once I get over 12 tables. So,
yeah.
You do anything to sort of distract yourself just a little bit? Like RRT just mentioned that he watches a web series or something on the side just to help him with the grind. Do you?
That's because I'm a recreational. Viewers who are watching the stream, please don't do it.
There are way more recreational players than there are pro or semi-pro players. So it's a good enough situation for us to get an idea.
I do some things. I listen to podcasts a lot. I like listening to music while I play.
Even I do things which I cannot say on stream. So let's leave it.
I love watching poker on television. So if there's a stream I haven't seen yet, and I'll search out my favorite players. So if I'm down to 2 tables, I'll pull up Adamo final table from like the Triton series or Stevie final table, and because I really enjoy watching the best players play, and like continuing in that mindset of like I'm thinking about poker, I'm playing poker, and then over here to distract myself, I'm watching poker. It keeps it all kind of in the same neighborhood. Although I am guilty of watching a Netflix show or playing another game from time to time, but it's something that I'm trying to avoid, to be honest, because I think you're giving up a lot of value. Like I play Magic the Gathering, so if I get down to 1 or 2 tables, sometimes I'll throw on a Magic the Gathering game. But crossing over between 2 different games that are pretty high level strategy games, I'm definitely giving up some value there. So I think it's much better just to have like a nice music podcast or just watch like a live stream. There's so much content out there too. So like you can watch Twitch streams.
I know where that all your entire hair. I know where you lost all your hair, Kevin.
Oh yeah? From Queens, man. Queens. I've always had a problem with the ladies.
Sometimes not a bad problem to have. And I think that's all we'll say about that on this live stream.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Seriously, Internet Kid 091. I mean, some of us would like to go to the casino. Some of us would like to get dinner. Some of us would just generally like to look away from these monitors for a second. But it's really dogged the way these guys are going at it. I don't think this is going to be a situation where hand versus hand is going to like call this thing down. I don't think anyone is doing anything foolish.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing too many missteps from either players. Maybe like a few little sizing.
The way I look at it, it was going to be cooler. Yeah.
And Diru 91 is he's limping a lot, you know. So this has slowed down quite a bit with that limping strategy. This is an interesting spot. Yeah, you definitely
I think we have
this be it.
It's over.
Yes, this is it.
They heard our stomach.
I love Kartik, my man.
Wow.
Good game, Diru.
Terrific heads up. Fantastic. Diru 91 takes down this tournament, the big stack, the big game, in fact, with a 1 crore guaranteed. He takes home 19.5 lakhs. That's an amazing amount of money. And clearly, while Internet Kid went in as somewhat of a favorite, Dhiru just made sure that he played nice and solid to get himself across that finish line.
Yeah, we saw a lot of limping being implemented by him there. So pretty nice to see him limp the ace-king too to balance that out. And he trapped Kartik. I think that with considering how much he had been limping during the heads-up match, King 10 seems like a pretty juicy spot to just shove and try to take down the pot. But he ran into the trap there, and that was really well played by Diru 91.
Yeah, it's just unlucky that, Dhiru woke up with a monster. But well played, Dhirendra. You actually, grinded hard. Like, the strategy that you choose to, is less aggressive, and yeah, it worked out well for you. Congratulations, Dhiren.
Ramesh, I just wanted to ask you, and of course after that to Kevin as well, any noticeable errors that you guys thought that these guys might have perhaps done better in the course of
I think Dhiren adapted pretty well. He knew Kartik was an aggressive player. That was pretty evident because he never tried to be aggressive against Kartik. He just tried to be passive against an aggressive opponent. So he knew his opponent well, is what I could see from the hands that are being played. Everyone on the final table, it's just not the heads up. Everyone on the final table knew their opponent pretty well. So it was more like a standard spot. No one committed any mistakes that I could foresee apart from floating certain hands. So, it looked more like a very standard final table play without any major mistakes. That's what I could say. The heads up also was pretty standard. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, I guess you'd agree as well, although we did see some serious swingy moments right at the start of heads up. I mean, stacks were being traded up and down, but I think at the end of it, it was just a matter of patience.
Yeah, I mean, the confrontations that we saw, I think, were all merited, so I don't really think we saw anybody stepping too out of line. If I had to be really picky and pick some mistakes, it would just be a couple of sizing things. But I think their post-flop lines were pretty solid. We saw a lot of mistakes at the beginning of the final table from a variety of the players, but these guys both played very well, I thought, and I think we were rewarded with a really high-level heads-up match. So that was some really really fantastic poker, and yeah, we were really got a treat there. I think considering like the beginning of the final table, there was just so many just
Strange
clear
plays.
mistakes that were happening and strange plays happening, and these guys just Kartik especially applied pressure. Duru sat back and sort of, I mean, he wasn't able to open as many pots at the beginning of the final table because Kartik was getting involved so much. And I think that strategy was probably pretty good to just sit back and let like the other guys punt around, secure those pay jumps, and then, you know, get into the heads up spot and just kind of hope things work out for him. And obviously the critical point in that heads up match was his ace 10 cracking the aces. I mean, that was just a super sick run out. But, you know, like that was just one hand, and I think that hand was fine. I don't think you can blame somebody for sticking in with ace 10 in a heads up match against an aggressive opponent. But you know, he showed that he had the chops heads up the rest of the time, and he implemented a very nice limping strategy. I thought his post flop lines were very good, so I was actually very impressed with his play. So I think we were rewarded with some really high level play there.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point that you made, that had that hand gone the way it would have in the normal course of things, of course, is online poker, but had the aces held, we perhaps would not have been able to gauge just how well or how good a player Dhiru91 was. And speaking of, we have connected with Dhirendra, so we're just going to get him on a quick call, just a couple of words from the winner.
Wow.
Let's just see.
तुमच्याद्वारे डायल केला गेलेला नंबर ह्यावेळेस व्यस्त आहे.
Okay, clearly he's getting a lot of congratulatory calls and messages. I'm going to try once again in just a minute. But yeah, 19.5 lakhs up top. Kartik Ved, of course, he's had quite a few serious... Okay, here we go. Dhirendra, hi, this is Peter Abraham. Can you hear us?
Hi, Peter.
Hey, man, you sound really overwhelmed. Congratulations on that victory, man.
Still, I'm unable to sink in. And, you know, like, it's a big dream. First of all, I'll tell you, it's not a dream at all. Like, my thought process was completely different. I was like, it's very difficult, man. Like, there are people like Sagar Kupul, Bang, Kartik Ved. Obviously, it's very difficult to take it down. But,
Sure.
you know, my thought process was, before start of this game was like, I have to come forth anyhow. Because I already had one enough in last 2 months and last 3 months, and only there was a downswing of 6 lakh rupees. I was like, those I need to recover that, and then we will play the street poker. I will not care about anything else. And you know, that's what had happened. I did my
Wonderful.
homework. I invested a lot of time today morning. I researched about all the players on FT. I took out all the hard information. What is their pre-flop raise, 3-bet raise, and everything. And that really helped me out. And I had one determination in my mind that until the fourth person burst, I will not play loose. I will play my natural, tight, aggressive game. That's it. And post that, you must have seen that, yes, now I opened my ranges and I started backfiring other players, and it worked out really well.
Yes, it did, my friend, because both myself and my two co-commentators here, Kevin McPhee and Ramesh Thuttapalli, they were really impressed with the way you sort of maneuvered your way on that final table. An opponent like Kartik Ved, obviously he's got a bunch of experience behind him. So we were really hoping to see some nice final table play. So fantastic. I won't keep you, man. I'm guessing there's a whole bunch of partying and fun lined up to celebrate this win.
There were other 3 tables which were running, but I thought to opt it out. I'm blinding out, but I'm come out just to sink in this winning feeling. And one more thing I would like to say about commentators. Kevin and Sam, I'm a big fan of yours, your gameplay. I hope I can become a 20-25% of the gameplay. That will be one of the big dreams. And RRT, hi Ramesh.
Hi, Dhiren.
For cheering up, but I have one suggestion. I'm sorry, I wanted to say this. I was watching a stream, and whenever you must have seen, there were 4-5 flips 5 back-to-back flicks where I was ahead and Kartik Ved got lucky. I was telling God, Bhagwan, why this happened to me? I have also worked hard. I have worked for 2 years. This guy already has so many wins, so many shifts. Let me get.
I wasn't anti-railing you, Dhiren. Don't worry. I was so happy for you, Arvind. So Prashant called me just before the final table started, to wish you good luck.
Heart was broken, but still, man, GG to him. And thank you very much.
Well, cheers, man. Dhiru, 91. You
Enjoy your win, Dhiren. I'll see you soon in Calcutta.
As far as Arati says that enjoy your win and your evening ahead. He'll see you soon in Calcutta. Once again, man, congratulations. Fantastic job on that final table. Make sure that you have whatever nice food and drink you've got lined up. You deserve this. A lot of hard work in there. Very impressive play. Congratulations once again from all of us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll be happy if Ramesh and Kevin can say something like on call right now.
You played pretty solid. Can you hear us?
You should be able to right now.
Well, I think you played really well. I was very impressed. I like the way you played the heads-up match. I thought your post-flop lines were... I didn't really see too many mistakes. And I thought you played really well. And I really liked the way you implemented the trapping. And, man, I was really happy when I saw you limp the ace-king because if you had just raised, I don't think we would have seen the shove from the king-10. We probably would have just seen him call and check-fold the ace-high board. So that was a really good job implementing the limp strategy. And, I mean, I think you played an excellent final table. So my hat's off to you and congrats. And I hope to see some more final tables. You got to grind those leaderboard points now.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Kevin.
Ramesh, come on. You're not just hanging, man.
Yeah. So, I was about to speak about the limp of ace king, which Kevin had just mentioned. And you knew your opponent. As you rightly said, you have done your homework. Even before you said that, we could understand the way you play. You have played the entire final table. We knew that you knew all of your opponents pretty well. And Kartik, as you know, is an aggressive guy, and you have adapted the passive strategy. And the way you have done it, hats off. It isn't an easy feat that what you have achieved right now. Money obviously is a very major factor, but the kind of FT that was set up, coming on top and taking the pole position, hats off you too. Hats off to you, Dhiren. Congratulations on the huge win.
Last thing I would like to say,
Sure.
This is the best birthday gift I have ever
Oh, happy birthday, Dhiren.
What a fantastic way to celebrate one.
It's his birthday. It's my dad's birthday today, too. So happy birthday, Dad. Happy birthday to you as well. And congrats on the win. That's really awesome.
Fantastic. Dhiren, thank you so much for your time, man. Enjoy your evening ahead. Well done. And we hope to see more final tables from you. Whoa. Dhiren, are you still with us?
Sorry?
I'm saying on behalf of all of us, the commentary team, IPC, Spartan Poker, we congratulate you once again on your fantastic finish. And let's keep grinding for some more final table finishes and perhaps more titles as well, man.
Yeah, for sure. Now confidence is boosted and I'm a profitable player.
Fantastic.
I am going to say for you in the next final table that you're going to make, Dhiren.
Well, there you have it, folks. Very, very happy Dhirendra Kumar, who's taken down the 1 crore guaranteed big game, 19.5 lakh rupees. I mean, that's going to be like a really nice soothing balm for the rest of the series for him. It's definitely going to free him up from a mental space, I would think. Always nice to have, especially a big prize win in that sense, Kevin, because I know a lot of, we've discussed this in the past as well, that when you tend to get a big prize, it loosens you up to the point of maybe a slight amount of, irresponsibility. But the way this guy is prepped for this final table, I don't think he's going to let that go just that easily.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more ammunition to weather the storm of a long tournament series. So I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off of him. He's going to be, playing above the rim the rest of the series now, a lot more relaxed. And he was executing his play very well. So I would definitely not be surprised to see him back at another final table, especially knowing that he's going to be in there grinding for the leaderboard points now.
Yeah. Ramesh, any last thoughts on the heads-up match and in general the final table?
I'm so happy to see the heads up play. I really wish to see Dhiren coming out on the final table, a more strategic final table where he goes on to win another tournament, hopefully. And I would want to see fresher names or newer names coming on the FT so that we could see a lot of poker being played over the next few days.
Yep, I think we can expect a lot more action. Like our commentator panel has said, it's been exciting. It's been a really solid display of poker that we could have observed, and we've not had that opportunity in the last couple of feature tables we've done. We've measured them by the cups of coffee that have lasted with us, but this was definitely a longer one to the point of stopping us from having our dinner or going places. But a wonderful display of
It was
poker.
all worth it. It was all worth it.
Worth it. Absolutely right, RRG. Absolutely right. It was a fantastic display of poker. Props to the Internet Kid. I mean, he entered this final table as the chip leader and he played like a chip leader all the way through. But in the end, it was Dhirendra Kumar who managed to surpass him at that final moment of the finish line. Congratulations once again to all the players who made the final table. And of course, our winner, Dhirendra Kumar. We will be back a little bit later. And of course, tomorrow evening, where we will bring you coverage from the High Roller event as well. So come back to our platforms and our social media channels to follow all the coverage from this FTS series brought to you by the India Poker Championship and Spartan Poker.